2 of Pro Wrestling Talk. I am one of your hosts, Angel Rivera, alongside my co-host, Miss Witchy Perfect, aka Steph, whatever you want to call her. We have 2 guests this week. One is Greg, who's underneath me. Welcome,
What's
first
up?
appearance on the show.
First timer.
And the other one is Dee from Deconstructing Topics podcast, right underneath
Yes,
Steph.
wait. The other time or the other person? Which one, Angel?
Yeah,
Sweet,
yeah.
baby.
Welcome. I had him on my show yesterday. People saw Angel in the afternoon, so we had a great conversation there. I appreciate him coming on here tonight too. So we're gonna start off with the Elimination Chamber that took place this morning at 5 a.m. I'm a mark. I got up for the show. I'm a gigantic mark. I mean, so yep, I admit it. And it started at 4. The pre-show's at 4 in the morning. And it was
like
a match.
watching football. I'm like, what is this, NFL? What?
Yeah.
A pre-show? A pre-show for what?
There's always a pre-show. It's an hour long before the show where nothing ever happens. But there was a match. There was a women's tag team title match, which I don't remember anything about. I was half asleep, and
Kabuki
I think
went over.
Skipped right through.
Oh, the Kabuki Warriors defeated 2 girls there.
Candice
Thank
LeRae.
you. Yeah, I had got no sleep, so I'm kind of I really didn't care about that.
Not even a cat nap or a power nap.
No, not today.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. I was like, you need a cat nap or a little cafe,
Usually don't take naps during the day, so it's like
Right.
even if I tried to lay down, I can't sleep. So yeah, I mean that pre-show match was
It was
useless.
basically to get Indy Hartwell.
Yeah, exactly. Get Indy on the card because she's from Australia. So the opening match of the pay-per-view was the Women's Elimination Chamber. It was Becky Lynch,
Naomi,
Tiffany, that other
Bianca,
girl,
and Raquel.
Yep, those are your 6 girls. Whatever. Becky won, and I don't care.
It was honestly, it was probably the most entertaining thing on the card.
You think
Just
so?
to kind of see, because I mean, Tiffany kind of stole the show. You know what I mean? Everybody was talking about her after the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
that was
she's
part
like
of my skip. I didn't want to. I had no interest in the women. Sorry.
Yeah, it was very predictable.
Yeah, she was just a blonde Barbie. Like she always remind me of a Barbie.
Hey man, that's always
she's a good athlete.
WWE.
Yeah, she's a good athlete, but I just don't see much wrestler in her. She's more like an athlete, But
but she's got the look, she's got the aura, she's got the charisma.
She's Charlotte Flair. She reminds me.
She's pretty much.
What happened to Charlotte Flair? She's still hurt.
Yeah, she hurt her knee.
Rehab.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So are we talking like when you talk about the women wrestlers? Are we talking Sable-esque, which Sable literally didn't wrestle, wouldn't take bumps? Or are we talking like Sherry Martel or like Trish or Rockin' Robin? Who are we talking here? The 2 categories: the women wrestlers and then the women that just look good.
She's a combination of both.
Yeah,
yeah, she is.
I was about to say that.
She's like
of both.
She's a combination of both, but she's a good athlete, but she still needs a lot more work. She should have stayed in NXT a lot longer, but that's just my opinion. The second match, which was pointless, but it's a World Tag Team title match, the Judgment Day against Tyler Bate and the other guy, Pete Dunne.
Yeah, a New Catch Republic.
Oh, that's New Catch Republic. Like, what the hell is that tag team name? It's like they were trying to explain it on the show. It was like, I don't understand why are they the New Republic?
It's not
Oh, right, yeah, because they're from
England.
England,
yeah, England, but
UK?
they said what part of England, and I missed it because I was like, what am I watching?
I think that style is what they call their wrestling.
Yeah, it was a strange. And it's funny. I didn't watch it live, but so I started watching it around 10 o'clock a.m. New York time, and like Angel said, I said 4 hours. I'm like, wow,
4 matches,
4 matches in 4 hours. I'm just like, oh my god.
Did y'all see the Freakazoids talking about there was only an hour and 37 minutes of actual wrestling? Compared to,
I wouldn't
because
be
they don't watch. They don't watch, but they.
It felt like a lot more than that.
They have the exact time of how many, but they don't watch.
Yeah, so it goes back to the tag team. That tag team, I think it took it was a little bit too long.
Way too long.
I don't know what was the point there. I mean,
like I said, it took them
filler.
10 minutes to get from here to here, and I'm just like, that would never have gone down in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
I mean, half the heels were already in the ring.
Yeah. And then I think they're trying to do like 10 finishes on what's the guy's name? What's the tall guy's name? I can't believe I'm forgetting.
Damian Priest.
Right, like they did like this whole thing, half five, kicked him, punched him, elbow him, everything, and I'm like, okay.
Bad Cookies is here with us. Welcome.
Hi, Bad Cookies.
Please like the stream if you haven't already. Yeah, I mean that match was just filler. I mean, it felt like it went in 30 minutes at least.
It was a good match.
It was decent, but very predictable. It was filler.
Yeah, it was filler.
Yeah, and they kept jumping around and flipping around for no reason. I'm like, why is he flipping?
Yeah, Tyler
don't
Bate
do that wrestling.
That's why this dude's gonna hurt.
Tyler,
I don't know how those guys spin around like that for like 30, 40 seconds. Like I get dizzy watching that.
Yeah, that's
even
a ridiculous
Kurt would do that, but yeah, like Kurt would do that just to make the baby face look better. But when you're jumping around and flipping around, you're more prone to, injuries and stuff. And that's not kosher, guys. I mean, that's why half their roster is hurt because they just can't stop jumping around for no reason.
AEW is so much worse, though.
I'm
sure. Jumping around for no reason.
I'm sure.
We got Sami Zayn or Sammy Guevara and Hobbs going right now in a no DQ match.
What?
Yeah, don't show too much of that.
Oh yeah, my bad. To all the
that's okay.
I do.
Yeah, we don't want. Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, your Collision is on there. I mean, I have no interest, but yeah, I mean that match was pointless and filler. There's no way they're switching the tag team titles right before WrestleMania. So I already knew the finish of that. Then we had the big Cody, Seth, and the other dude, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory segment, which was a segment. I mean, it wasn't even a match. Cody didn't have a match.
Whose show is it? I mean, whose show was that?
The Grayson Waller effect.
He's
some Australian dude.
Yeah.
The Australian
they try to
dude.
plug him in because he's from Australia.
Yeah, they plugged him into the show. They're like, oh, we don't have a match, so let's just do an interview segment.
Well, after he said, hey, I'd like to acknowledge Roman Reigns, and people start saying, I'm like,
yeah, they're all doing this. Well, you didn't. The whole point of that segment was to set up Cody versus The Rock, allegedly. But ultimately, I think it'll lead to a tag team match, which Triple H was discussing. He wants to copy WrestleMania 1, that main event.
Yep, most
and
likely.
Why? That's already been done. I don't think they could capture that. Maybe I'm wrong, but The Rock hasn't been relevant since the 90s. Let's put it all out there. I mean, he went in 2001 and became a movie star. Stay in movies.
That didn't work out either.
No, his movies aren't doing well lately.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, he nearly killed it.
He tried to kill WrestleMania for a lot of fans too, and then the Cody Crybabies eventually did get their way.
Yeah, and he's never going to really come back from the fact that he literally was begging poor people for money with Oprah. I don't think you can come back from that.
I don't know.
There's too many people that believe
it. This is why he's back in wrestling. His Hollywood career is like falling apart.
Yeah,
he destroyed the DC Comics thing by trying to push Black Adam as like the big star of DC Comics, even though, as far as I know, it just made up for the movie. I don't think there's any comics called Black Adam.
I had never heard of Black Adam growing up.
Yeah.
I don't particularly remember that comic book character, so I don't know how big of a fan base that had organically coming into the movie. So
it didn't. Rocky just like, oh well, I'm the star of this movie, so we should put over Black Adam as the biggest star in this space, even though he's never been around until the movie. So classic Rocky, and it didn't work, and then ultimately he destroyed the thing. Triple H and The Rock shouldn't be wrestling. Well, Triple H has the
I don't even think
Triple H has the pacemaker, so he can't work anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just had heart surgery here a couple of years ago.
Maybe this guy just read the Dave Meltzer article about the
oh God, Dave Meltzer.
The video.
Meltzer has been caught in so many lies lately that it's like,
God.
I want to bring up the wrestling, the newsletter awards he did, which is interesting. Though Tony Khan's have a meltdown over that because he didn't win anything. So,
Those awards are so weird, man, because you have WWE as the best promotion, but the second worst TV show, third worst promotion.
That makes no sense.
It's like literally looking at those is like listening to Dave Meltzer speak. It's like nothing makes sense. It's just jargon.
Let's be honest.
And those awards kind of epitomize that whole fan base.
Right.
The Rock was never a good actor. I mean,
he was good in The Scorpion King. I like The Scorpion King.
Yeah, I was going to say, I enjoyed him in The Scorpion King too.
Yeah.
And he was decent in the Fast and Furious movies, but I mean,
But if it's true what I've been reading, he's trying to put himself over, even over Vin Diesel, who was a star.
I did like Young Rock. I'm not gonna lie, I did watch.
Well, Young Rock was okay, was fine, but I didn't really watch it that often.
It was so inaccurate.
Jim Cornette would point out the inconsistencies.
It was so bad, and none of the people looked like they
He's
were
like, no, that's
to.
not how the arena looked back in the 70s or whenever. But yeah, Jim Cornette would talk about that, and I'm just like, I felt like I watched it through Jim Cornette.
Yeah,
even though I didn't have to watch an episode.
Love me some Cornette.
Yeah, I mean, he's over. The Rock just tried to put himself over, and he apparently in his contracts he can't lose a fight in a movie. I'm like, dude, you're a mark for yourself. If that's true, he's a mark.
It reminds me. I think that there was an inside joke with LL Cool J that he never died in a movie. He was the only black person that never died in a movie.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never heard that.
What's next? What happened after that? They pushed tourism in Australia throughout the night or morning, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, it was beautiful, but I'm not going to Australia. But they kept pushing the tourism, throughout the night or morning.
And they did that with the Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
they did that.
The backlash last year,
right? And I guess that's the new thing now. It's like, now visit this place, visit.
Yeah, WWE gets paid for that. That's why they go to these foreign markets.
Man, they know what they're doing.
Do they do that for Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
Yeah, right. I was about to say, I don't think they do with Saudi Arabia, though. I don't go visit Saudi Arabia. I don't think they do that.
They do. I watched the last Crown Jewel, and they were pushing the tourism like crazy. Come here to Saudi Arabia. That's what they get paid for. And it's great. They built a new WWE theme park out there in Riyadh.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, it comes with a long list. Like, remember Dan Malenko with that? No, remember what was that?
Jericho.
Segment with Jericho, right? When you come to Saudi Arabia, hold on, let me get the. Don't do this. Don't do that. You can't do this.
Can't have the women wrestle. They have to stand back there and watch the matches.
Well, they can wrestle now, but they got to wear a full Power Ranger suit.
Yeah, they have to wear literally. I'm like, nope, sorry, I'm not wearing a beekeeper suit.
Yeah,
sorry,
they have to wear. I call it a Power Ranger.
Not sorry.
From here down, it's a Power Ranger suit.
No. I do not like Bill Maher anymore.
I recognize that reference. I was like, you had a whole bit about that.
That just kind of stuck with me, I guess. The beekeeper suit.
That's what it
thing.
Like.
Yeah. So what was next after that? Oh, the men's elimination chamber.
Yeah, I didn't stick around for the women's.
Yeah, I hated the men's chamber.
It was Drew McIntyre, LA Knight,
Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton,
Logan.
and Kevin Owens.
No, and then Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that was the match, and Drew McIntyre won. So they're probably setting up for McIntyre and Rollins at WrestleMania for the world title. Yeah. And the match itself was bleh. I wasn't that impressed. It's like Logan Paul especially was ridiculous in this match. I mean, I just didn't like it. Like, he was over the top with his facials and with his
Well, when he kept going into the glass, I'm just like, you think he would be broken up and literally his face would be bleeding and everything, and I'm just like, there's nothing going
in. Some blood in that match.
Well, yeah,
and all you could see was his hand going, hit the glass. I'm just like, okay, stop, okay, because no one's believing this shit anymore. Sorry, no one's believing this crap anymore because he's not busted open. He was not busted open.
Cage matches, Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, that needs blood, and it doesn't because they're PG and there's no blood policy still.
Someone's got to pull a Bret Hart
to see if they would slap their legs, because that's what they do now when they do those knife edge chops. They slap their legs. I'm like, that would never go over in the 80s and 90s.
In fact, I think Vince may have banned the leg slaps. And then they was brought back after he was gone. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the few positives of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he banned the leg slaps. He hated it.
I'll give him credit for that one. But man, I don't like where they're going with the LA Knight against AJ Styles in WrestleMania. Like, what? That
LA Knight has to win that match.
He does, but even if he does, what is momentum? I feel like he's one of their hottest guys right now. That crowd loves him. They pop for everything he does. I would have rather seen him and Logan Paul have a feud going into WrestleMania, and then have
that's what I thought they were going to
do. LA
do.
Knight go over with the US.
And that's what I was thinking. When LA Knight, when I was watching a match, and I'm saying to myself, what exactly are they? I mean, the crowd is popping for him. He's he's getting a lot of pops or whatever, and I'm just asking myself, right? So I'm asking myself, what are they gonna do with him? Are they gonna do like have like with the AJ? If he loses, and I'm saying to myself, that's another situation that happens when you get these guys over, these people over, but yet they lose. They did the same thing. I think, what was it with Bray Wyatt at one point, where this guy's getting over, but then he fights John Cena, he fights this guy, and he loses. And I'm like, man,
he lost to Goldberg, didn't he?
Yeah, he dropped the Universal title to Goldberg
as
the Fiend, who was supposed to be undefeated and dominant. Somehow Goldberg, who's in his mid-50s, beat him in 5 minutes.
Goldberg doesn't need that rub, you know what I mean?
He didn't.
Right.
No, because the rub or run he had in WCW was just completely bogus. After a while, they had to pipe in the Goldberg chants because people were so sick of him.
And I remember Scott Hall did an interview saying you got to beat this guy because he's getting booed now. He's telling Bischoff this. He's like, you got to beat him.
Yeah, and he got a little too big for his britches there, man. His ego just took off after. He really started. Talk about a mark for himself.
Yeah, he definitely
Goldberg was a mark for himself in the late 90s.
Well, real quick, old man Barker, Owen wasn't better than Brett. I mean, it just.
That's for you, Angel. You like Brett in this scenario.
Yeah.
We love
like Shawn Michaels, who was gay, apparently.
I remember that.
I thought you would understand that.
I hope you're right,
Sean. I'm like,
that was the incident in the 90s, right?
That was 93. Yep.
93.
Shawn Michaels, You'll be like, why?
John Williams says, "I bet we will see blood on Netflix." I don't know. I mean, because WWE's PG unless they say, because Raw needs to be Raw. Like that's the whole point. Why it was called Raw in like 93, because it wasn't live, but they would, it was much more raw. The guys would come out and cut their promos, and even in the late 90s during the Attitude Era, I mean, Raw was Raw. Now it's like Raw shouldn't be called Raw. It's called contrived, because that's what WWE is now, especially Raw.
Toned down for sure.
It's like contrived, toned down. It's like everybody has their script, like their actors is like, let me see.
Yeah, you remember? It was it the late 90s? Well, I think the WWE did something where it's Monday Night Raw from 8 to 9, and then 9 to 10 was like Warzone or something like that.
That was when they merged, Raleigh's right? War, and then the Warzone.
Warzone was from 10 to 11,
and that's the one
that was that. What I mean, why did they have to call it two different things?
I think the 10 to 11 time slot was more, more risque, more adult type content.
Get away with
like let the kids watch the little wrestling in the 8 to 9, whatever, 9 to 10. And then 10 to 11 was more, like you said, risque, blood, whatever. Something was going on.
Yeah. Everything on Netflix is propaganda about Russia or North Korea.
I think we have.
There definitely is a lot of propaganda on Netflix.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to pay for it for goddamn Raw in 2025. So.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I don't have a Netflix subscription anymore.
I don't either, but I may have to go get it.
I never had one.
I don't know if I want to buy one just for Raw.
I think we also might have a troll in the chat talking about Cop City or something. But anyway, so let me just say that at the beginning that I did watch a little bit of the beginning of the Elimination Chamber, and it goes back to CM Punk when he went like this, like McIntyre went like this because I guess he took out Punk or something.
He did.
So I'm not really sure.
Like in a shoot. Like, I mean, he really did legit injure him. and they're kind of doing what Owen Hart did with Stone Cold when he broke his neck, and then they had the shirt.
Yeah, they're leaning into it.
Owen 316. So I hated that shirt, by the way, but yeah, I think they're definitely leaning into it.
Mm-hmm.
And Punk's a worker. He knows that this can draw money. As mad as he is about it, probably he knows it could draw money.
When he comes back, they're gonna work a program.
Yeah,
and
he's
Punk's
taking
gonna
the
beat
belt.
him.
He's taking the belt off Drew, I believe, when he comes back, and that's what they're setting up right now.
Yeah, I mean, Drew McIntyre will probably be the champion. And I forgot, Damian Priest let that Money in the Bank briefcase. When he's gonna cash in?
He needs to do something with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like they forgot about that.
I don't really see a good opportunity for him to cash in either. He's just going to lose.
Right. Yeah. And I will say Damian Priest actually looks like a wrestler. His little what's his partner's name?
Finn Balor.
Balor. He does not look like a wrestler. Damian Priest looks like a wrestler. He's built. He's he's got the look. He's got the gimmick. Sorry, his partner. No.
I mean, I was feeling Finn Balor when he had that whole demon thing going on or whatever.
Yeah, I like.
He would turn into Demon Balor occasionally. He hasn't done it in a while.
And then I guess it kind of changed when he started doing the LBGT pandering thing for a while. I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah, I remember. And then ever since then, it's like, what happened to the demon? I don't know.
Well, after Roman beat him,
Val Venus for holding up the flag at the live event. Did y'all see that? Val Venus made news this week.
Yeah, I heard about. I saw the trending, but I don't know. So what happened?
I guess there was a trans fan that was a Cody fan in the audience at a live show, and Cody took a picture with her holding that flag, the flag that they have.
The LGBT flag.
And then Val Venus just went off on him, and I think he said a bunch of other stuff, and I know some
news from a guy who had a porn. He was like from a porn background.
Yeah, he had a porn star.
Oh yeah.
Was it that his thing was cut? Like, remember that angle, that whole scene?
Oh, the Kai and Tai.
Yeah.
I had nightmares about that. I was 12 years old.
Vince Russo.
I'm like,
that was prime Vince Russo.
I had nightmares about that. I actually had nightmares about, and I woke up going. My grandma was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like,
no, the good thing they didn't say, "Oh, I'm gonna make sushi out of it." I'm like, okay, no sushi anymore. I'm like, I'm done.
That was garbage.
Russo would have loved
that idea. Booking. Yeah, that's garbage. I mean, it's like, why would you do that? It makes no sense. It doesn't further anything. It's like just shock TV just for shocking people. It's like it made no sense.
Yeah, Crash TV. That's what Vince Russo liked to write. They'd sit there and watch Springer.
As Jim Cornette says, it was just shit. It was the shits. Yeah. The only good thing that
shit
Russo ever could take, he calls him shit stain. That's absolutely right.
Oh, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of I'm in the cult.
I'm in the cult too.
I even got my girlfriend listening to Cornette now. She loves him too.
Me and my man we listen to him all the time.
I enjoy Jim.
I like him.
Cornette.
But that's just Russo bullshit. And he gets worse.
He can the only claim to fame that he can actually say is that yes, he sort of did come up with Stone Cold, but I think that was more Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That was more Austin. Yeah,
it was more Austin and Vince McMahon or Mr. McMahon. Yeah,
and that's my thing.
Russo likes to take credit for the Rock and Austin feud, but I feel like anybody could have wrote that feud.
Yeah, anybody would have booked that.
That's my thing.
I could have booked that. Who knows? Obvious.
Exactly.
Right, and that's my thing with Vince. Vince Russo, he was lucky to have these people that he worked with, and he's like, "Let me tell you, brother, this, and he's lucky. He's fortunate to have people
right place, right time.
Right. That's the perfect way. When he went to whatever WCW after that.
That was a disaster.
Yeah.
Nobody. I don't think
he literally spit in the face of everyone who had that belt before him. He made himself the WCW heavyweight champion, and he might as well have just pissed in the face of the rest of those guys.
Which sucked too, because late era WCW before the finger poke, that was great TV, man. I love the Sting feud, the Sting and Hogan feud. Man, that was great.
I wasn't much for Sting.
We were very lucky to grow up.
It was good until Starrcade '97 when Hogan got in the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You hear Conrad and Bishop talk about that and how all that went down, and like Sting didn't show up with a tan, or I
did hear that episode. Bischoff said that Hogan turned to him in that meeting and said, "This dude's not ready."
Yeah,
not tonight, brother.
But he was having personal problems. He was having apparently marital problems, is what Bischoff said. So, I mean, I just wasn't much for Sting. Sorry, guys, but I wasn't much for Sting or that Crow period. I was like, if anyone deserves to stay mute, it's Sting.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but the WCW fans, he was over.
I just love that he'd come down and beat up the NWO
guy. I mean, and he did. I think he did talk. He did talk before. He did talk.
Oh yeah,
for one episode. You know, with the Crow thing, and then after that was like.
I just remember him handing the belt back to the J.J. Dillon and going, "You suck." I'm just like, dude, you should have stayed mute. Stayed mute. No, I will. I love Kurt's time when he shut the cage door because I hate Ric Flair. I've always hated Ric Flair. I will always hate Ric Flair. Fuck that dude. I loved it when he slammed the cage door on Flair's head at Fall Brawl.
Oh yeah,
and that's my guy, Kurt Hennig, right there. That's my heart.
Hey.
One of the best workers of all time, Kurt Hennig.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I mean, I'll
tried to beat up Brock Lesnar 40,000 feet above the ground.
But there's so much talk about that.
That's so wild. Could you imagine those on an airplane?
Well, hey, if you kind of like, put, I guess Kurt went like this and put shaving cream on Brock's head. That's what started it all, I guess,
Yeah.
Guess Brock didn't like to be ribbed. Kurt was a rib.
Brock was kind of. He was kind of a mark for himself, especially at the beginning when he first came in. So when Kurt started ribbing him, he probably had issues with that.
Well, yeah, and the dark match that I saw them together. In fact, if you go on Rumble, I will have it for when I start talking about WCW stuff with Kurt, which I have coming up soon. But like literally. There's all these kind of ribs, and if you go on my channel now, episode 14 is just like a collection of Kurt's ribs. But I love that that dark match between him and Brock, where he actually wins with the perfect plex.
Why I always hear stories about Kurt and his ribs.
Oh my God!
I'm pretty sure his father was not that way, because I know his father was like one of those stern, kind of guys. So where did he get
the axe?
He does. His father does have a funny side. There's an interview he does in Portland with Kurt standing right there, and he goes, "Gotcha. Yeah, I was up in Minnesota bear hunting with a switch. I went, what is that? What?" So you're giving the bear a chance,
right.
Nobody could tell me this. And then I asked Jesse on Clubhouse, and he's like, maybe just Larry was so big and bad that he could just slap the bear on the ass with the switch and, call it a day. I was like, okay, that's the best explanation I've ever had. Wow. But yeah, like he gets his sense of humor, I'm sure, from his dad. And some of these ribs, I mean, chef's kiss. I would have loved to have been there, especially for the plane ride where he puts crap or shit on the guy's glass, and the guy goes like this a couple times, and Shane Douglas swears he's got to smell it, and this just goes to show that Kurt's shit doesn't stink. Okay, because he literally just as soon as Shane said that, he's like, he took a big swig, he went, "Excuse me, stewardess, can I have another glass? This one tastes like shit."
He got it right.
And the shoulders are bouncing up and down. Shane Douglas, he's like, that was just classic Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these ribs are so great.
They don't rib like they
used to. No,
wrestling is. I don't know.
Well, so it was him, and then my understanding, I think Owen Hart was one of those.
He was a ribber too.
I wasn't even there. It was Owen.
I wasn't even there.
I wasn't even there. Jim Cornette says that Kurt said that once. He goes, "I wasn't even there. It was Owen." Oh my gosh.
Then I want to finish up Elimination Chamber, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, sorry about
that. The main event. That's okay. The main event was Rhea Ripley versus the other girl, Nia Jax, Rocky's cousin. twice removed. I don't know.
Mm.
For the women's title, Rhea Ripley won. I didn't like the match personally. It was Nia Jax just standing there and just, plotting around, and she has 2 left feet. She can't really wrestle. She can't move around that well, and everybody's talking about what a great job she's doing in this run. I'm like, she's worse than she's ever been in the original run. I'm like, at least unless it's me and I'm not seeing it, I don't know, but she's just not good.
I didn't watch the match, so I couldn't judge it. I mean, I feel like all this match did was provide a bunch of thirst traps on Twitter of Rhea Ripley's butt.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only thing that came out of this match. That's all I was seeing on my Twitter timeline today. People talking about the colors of ropes.
Yeah, the match didn't matter much. We all knew Rhea was retaining, just needed a cannon fodder because she's in Australia to beat. And they chose Nia Jax. They could have chosen any other girl for that.
Who is the girl that's Davey Boy Smith's daughter? And she hurt? Or does she still wrestle?
Talking about Natalia?
No,
that's
Natalia.
That's
Neidhart's daughter.
Neidhart's daughter, not Davey Boy's daughter.
I mean, Natalia comes in. I mean, she usually will wrestle if you're gonna, because Natalia's a great wrestler, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
right,
and I think she will usually comes in to kind of make somebody else good. I mean, Ripley is already established, so
Natalia should have been the
They
girl
were just
going
over for spectacle.
That's and she's Rocky's cousin, so you got to put her over and put her in the main event, even though she sucks.
I didn't know she was Rock's.
they're
related.
Cousins? Okay.
That's why she got brought back. I'm pretty sure because once Rock started,
Rocky's on the board.
Part of that.
Rocky's on the board of directors. All of a sudden, Nia's back. Mm-hmm. And his daughter Ava is the general manager of NXT, which is ridiculous. She's like 22 years old.
Yeah, but wasn't she a wrestler too? Wasn't she trying to
She shouldn't be on TV.
She was.
I'm not like a hater, but she shouldn't.
She's not ready for television.
No,
not even close.
But she was trying to be a wrestler, right?
Yeah, she was
fourth generation.
Right.
Yeah, she was trying to wrestle. They gave up on that, I guess, and now made her a personality. But she's terrible at that too.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't even make sense for her to be.
Yeah, she's like 22.
She just got there. It doesn't even make sense.
No, and I was watching a documentary, or I guess somebody was doing a thing with the Inoue family, and I guess there's the other family, and I'm like, dang.
I don't know. Yeah, that entire family is in wrestling, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that's probably like the top of the cream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Anoa'i family is like the most respected family in wrestling.
They bring another family. I guess it's Jimmy Snuka's side. I think that's another family as well.
Yeah, that's another.
Tamina.
Yeah.
Tamina, I think, is his daughter.
Yeah, that's his daughter.
Yeah.
Apparently, she retired. I mean, I saw on Twitter that she announced her retirement. So. But yeah, I mean, that was Elimination Chamber. I wouldn't recommend watching it. I mean, you don't have to watch it. You pretty much summarize it here, and
or you can just do what I did: skip, watch a little bit, skip.
Just watch the Grayson Waller segment on YouTube.
Yeah, that sets up for the main event, at WrestleMania or one of the main events. Because
it made me mad that Cody was about to say why he said not at WrestleMania, and then it just kind of got interrupted. And they never went back to it.
I guess they're teasing.
I still need that plot point.
They're teasing it out until later to address that because they don't know. They don't know why. What excuse.
It's probably going to be like The Rock tricked them and all this, and that's probably going to lead to them feuding.
Which Cody, it makes him look weak, though. I mean, that's stupid.
It does. Yeah, it does. But he already looks dumb because of it. Now they just kind of have to explain it.
When it all comes down to that, Cody needs to finish his story. It's the Dusty story that they took it from my daddy in the garden, and Cody needs to finish it.
But
you think they'll stretch it out and do it in the garden?
I hope maybe. Not.
I mean, that would be cool. I mean,
yeah, it would be, but
cool, yeah,
it would be if he defeats Roman Reigns at the Garden. But I'm not sure he's even working the Garden shows that are coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's like really part time. So it's like,
Well,
the best.
That's just it's something that when there was a Dusty thing that came out, and then when it came out, it was like a biography or a thing to him.
the A&E biography.
Yeah, when it came out about Dusty, then
that was one of my favorite ones.
And that's where the whole finish the story came out, because it was like Dusty had made a comment about, I had to chase it. The chase is much better than getting the title. So they're going to drag out, just like they did with Dusty, with Cody. I have a feeling they're going to drag it out because the chase is much better.
Yeah, they already dragged it out a year because he probably should have won last year, but
no, I was happy with Roman winning.
No, yeah, I agree too. But a lot of people seem like they wanted Cody to win last year. So,
but yeah, that would have been too easy.
Yeah,
a couple months,
and then it would have been funny too, because you got this guy that came from AEW within less than a year, becomes a champion, and like in your promotion. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was upset, but somebody kind of explained that to me. Like, just think about it. This came from AEW.
Like all the guys in the locker room, you know what I mean? It's kind of a slap in the face to that.
Absolutely.
So I was like, okay, I'll take that. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, he's the Cody created fucking practically AEW because he's the brains behind that.
Even
the rest of the the rest of the elite are morons.
He set himself on fire for Tony Khan.
Yeah. The rest of the elite are morons. They didn't do anything. It just happened to be there. But Cody was the brains behind All In, the original All In. I think Cody was like the brains behind that before AEW even started.
The longer he's gone, the more and more it shows. I mean, Darby Allin pretty much acknowledged that on the show.
I can't believe they let him acknowledge
that.
The
WWE guys are more over in AEW.
I can't believe they let it. Yeah, I can't believe they let him acknowledge that. Like, what is
it? They're shooting on how dumb their promotion.
Yeah.
It's wild what they're doing.
Why are they allowing Darby to cut this promo?
It's all true.
Yeah, it's true.
But they're saying it.
There's no.
Darby told no lies on that promo.
You know what AEW is reminding me sometimes? It reminded me when WWE was winning the ratings, they took over, and then you had these guys from WCW kind of like acknowledge, doing the shop. Or something just doesn't seem right in AEW.
It's like the bloated roster, the hot shotting of everything. Right. There's a lot of parallels.
Right.
And the biggest thing they got going for them right now is that Sting is retiring. Sting should have retired 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they even got Ric Flair.
He's still a draw. He's still a draw. You know what I mean? He's the biggest.
But now they
draw
have
in that
Edge.
company.
They had Christian Cage, right?
They do.
And then they tried to do that.
They still do.
Edge versus Christian, but Edge won't face him.
Edge is not a draw. Edge was a pure product of the WWE machine, and I like Edge, but he was. WWE got that guy over. He didn't really get himself over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's just another guy in AEW. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just another guy having pointless matches.
And I think it was Booker T. I believe it was Booker T. He was like, yeah, he did the right move, Edge. You get him hot on AEW, and then he'll do that thing and come back. And
he's not hot in AEW.
Right, yeah. I mean, he like fizzled like a ice. Yeah. Like he's an ice that melted in the North Pole, basically. Like, how can that happen?
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And they're touting.
A lot of these ex-WWE guys left to their own devices.
Mm-hmm. They're terrible. Yeah. And now Sasha Banks is supposed to be debuting in AEW next month. They have this big business show.
I have a little bit of hope now because she did bring in her, her personal writer. So I think that'll help.
That woman got sued for racial discrimination. It was her, Vince,
really?
Bruce Pritchard. Yeah, they all got sued.
I mean, she'll fit right in AEW, right?
Yeah. What gets my goat is that in AEW they have Chris Jericho, and now he thinks he's a wizard and he can do all this stuff. I'm just like, Jericho, you were terrible in WCW.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
I mean, I like Chris Jericho. I mean,
if you're in a feud with Jericho, you're in purgatory.
Yeah, you're pretty much going to lose.
Nobody has gotten over
unless it's MJF. Then other than that, nobody else gotten over feuding with Jericho.
Yeah, but they made him like a pussy. Like he's not even.
MJF would have got.
Yeah, over. I mean, they made what did Jim Cornette say? They made the devil a pussy. Because MJF was like the devil, he was like that devilish heel, and now they just made him a complete pussy.
Yeah, and it turned him babyface. Like their top heel. Oh yeah, let's just turn him babyface.
That was a Jericho idea. You remember he said that at that press conference.
Yeah, and
Tony Khan said that. Yeah.
He sabotaged him,
and I was like, please don't. And they
turned
really,
him.
They really did it, man. And he's not a baby face.
No.
I'm sorry. He is the most entertaining person in that company. People are going to cheer for him, even if he, calls them whatever, But he's not a baby face. He never will be a baby face. He is a heel, and he's great at it. Let him be a heel.
It's like literally.
So I hope in his return, we get the old MJ.
And that's what they did with the Austin character when Austin shook McMahon's hand at WrestleMania.
That killed the Attitude Era.
That killed the Attitude Era.
Exactly.
No different.
Yeah,
that's a great parallel.
They turned their top heel babyface, and they had a stupid friendship with Adam Cole. I'm like, they were doing these dumb skits and stuff. Corny. It was like, it was brutal.
The problem is those AEW fans ate that stuff up, so they kept doing it.
Yeah,
everybody was saying how great it was.
Right, and that's what they like.
It
was lame.
This is childish.
That's what they were like.
Childish.
Yeah. Right, and
it has no reason being. It had no business being on a wrestling.
Yeah,
show. What did any of that have to do with wrestling?
It didn't further anything. It didn't do anything.
Absolutely.
But make Tony Khan laugh.
Yeah, with AEW. I mean, for some reason, AEW is like one of these, kind of like the new generation that they love the clicks. Like, yeah, look, we got 300,000 views on YouTube, but you only got like 1,000 people attending your show. I mean, come on.
These numbers don't
add
up.
I tried to get tickets to AEW when they came to Houston, and it was completely overpriced. Like, it wasn't worth going to.
Right.
And I'm just like, who's paying these prices? They're not even good seats. You're paying like $120 for 2 tickets.
They brought Ring of Honor, Tony Khan did, to my local market here in Trenton for a show. It was pay-per-view. It was Death Before Dishonor. It's cheaper to get into SmackDown. To a SmackDown
How much
taping.
was he charging for an ROH pay-per-view?
It was a couple $100 front row and $30 general admission. 30.
That's insane.
Wow. And SmackDown is like $20.
They should be letting people in for free.
Oh, go back to what WCW did in the late 90s, I think. Or remember, I don't know if you guys remember that. Supposedly,
the Disney tapings, but that was early 90s. Yeah, that's what they should be doing. They should be like, oh yeah, come in. Right. I would have gone if it's free. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go.
I feel like the trick with AEW is don't buy the tickets in advance. Go buy them at the box office like an hour or two before the show starts. You'll probably get them for like $5 or $10.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the way to go.
Yeah,
for AEW.
But I had no interest.
Buying the stuff ahead of time is silly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I had no interest in going.
They're going to be there on the day of the show.
I had no interest in going to a Ring of Honor show, but that was the show where some dumbass broke his ankle after flipping, off a ladder.
Oh yeah, Dante Martin.
Yeah, him. Yeah, he that moron broke his ankle doing a stunt off a ladder.
Brutal.
Oh my
in front of 300 people?
Yeah, it was a couple hundred people that were there in the arena.
Why they don't get the business, man. They don't understand what this business is supposed to be.
Well, what does Cornette do every week when they talk about AEW? He does the how many people were watching, and it always goes down by like so many. Like, I think this week they lost like 3,000 viewers.
It's hard to sit there and watch a whole 2 hours of Dynamite.
I don't do it.
I tune in every Wednesday, and I'm usually done after like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I never make it to the main event.
What they should be doing, and this is just my opinion, and I said this on Twitter, they should be building to a Wardlow Samoa Joe match at All in London.
The problem is they already did that, though. You know what I mean?
But Wardlow's their top star.
They wasted that match.
Yeah, Wardlow's their top star.
Yeah, but Samoa Joe knows what he's doing,
they need to start
right?
pushing that
guy.
He's a
veteran.
That guy was in OVW.
He looks great in a suit.
Yeah.
First of all, he looks great in a suit, and he just looks like a professional wrestling heavyweight champion.
Isn't Samoa Joe second generation?
So does Samoa Joe.
I don't know his father or mother wrestled.
I don't.
But like I said, they already kind of had the feud. It was a blow-off feud that lasted a couple weeks. I think they were like tag team partners. And
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I thought Samoa Joe was like related to The Rock or something.
No, they tried to build that. I think they tried to build
in WWE when he had his run there.
Yeah, because of the Samoan thing going on. I think they tried.
He got hurt a lot. I think that
you might as well say that the Giant is Andrew the Giant's son.
Yeah,
stupid. They did.
Remember that? I was like,
that was stupid.
I'm like, what? They got me.
Yeah. 12-year-old me actually. They
They got me. Yo, look at that. I was like 17 or 18. I'm like, okay.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, they should be getting this belt on Wardlow, no matter at All in London. I don't care whether it's Samoa Joe or some other champion.
Do you think Swerve's gonna win the title at Revolution?
Good question.
That's a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't.
I feel like he's one of their hottest guys, but I think it's a little too early. I think it's a little early.
Yeah, they got to get this belt on Wardlow, and then feud with.
Set up with MJ. Yeah, they need to get Wardlow out of this stupid group.
Oh, that Undisputed Kingdom, that thing, that's awful.
They're terrible.
If they want to make up these ratings, they got to get MGF in there.
Yeah, Adam Cole. It turned in
MJ got to get back on TV. Yep. Even if he can't wrestle, get him back on TV.
Yeah, I mean, bring the devil back, guys. It's not that hard. If you want ratings, you want these guys to take you seriously, bring the devil back.
Austin had a broken neck and was on TV every
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Right.
Let's get your top guy back on TV because he's the most entertaining thing they
need to put that belt on Wardlow and have MJF return or All in London and set up that feud.
That's it. That's the feud right there.
But they won't. Feud. I guarantee you they're putting that belt on Will Ospreay. Because it's London, so it's his home country.
Yeah.
You're probably right. I didn't even think about
that. I can see that.
Yeah, they're putting that belt on Will Ospreay.
I take it back. I can't see that. I'm not gonna watch it.
I'm not watching it either. I'm just saying that's probably what they're leaning towards.
I'll wait till Jim Cornette talks about it, and then I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer will be very happy if that happens.
Oh my God, what is up with him? He wouldn't give the greatest two superstars of their era, who's Bret Hart and Kurt Hennig. At 91 SummerSlam, they gave him 4 stars. No, honey, that's a 5-star match.
Oh,
baby.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was
I think Will Ospreay has like 19 5-star matches.
Oh my God. Like and no one even heard of this dude.
He has more 5-star matches than
no one's even heard of this dude, and he can't wrestle.
What he is, he's not a
gymnast.
He's not a wrestler. He's like a Cirque du Soleil gymnast. That's what. Yeah,
he's a great gymnast.
He's a great athlete, but he's not a wrestler.
Can't cut a promo.
Oh God, I can't understand him. Like he has such a thick English accent, and he like slurs his words.
Like the Warrior would come in and just go, I talked to the God, and I'm like, what did the Warrior just say?
I'm like, what part of United Kingdom you're from again? I mean, where? Liverpool? Where? Manchester? Where?
The difference was Warrior has intensity.
Doing?
He had intensity and he had charisma. Fucking Will Ospreay just like
whatever,
no charisma, there's no intensity.
Drew McIntyre, he's Scottish, right?
Yeah.
Even you can even understand him, and he's a Scottish wrester. I mean, for him.
No, Will Ospreay's got like that
out of your mouth, dude.
British Tory accent.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Like a Paddy.
He's somewhere in the border of Scotland and England, somewhere there, somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Ospreay.
Oh, I'm not either.
I haven't seen him a lot.
Fest.
Maybe he'll make me a fan, but I doubt it. But we'll see. He's supposed to be debuting soon on AEW.
Yeah, because I think
he's fighting his own stablemate.
Yeah, he's fighting Take a Shit at the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Because AEW doesn't have enough people on the roster.
So
that's because they're all hurt. Because they do these bullshit stuff.
Yeah.
These flips and turns, and they go into tables every freaking match. It's like,
I guarantee you,
wrestling.
After nothing has any meaning in AEW.
I guarantee you, after one of those spots, you ask the fans who did it. I don't know. I mean, it was a cool spot, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who did it.
Wait, AEW and so much of these wrestlers, I'm surprised that they haven't invented a 24/7 belt or something. Because I mean, you got so much people. I'm like,
they got enough belts.
Oh, they got like really 20 belts.
They got enough
combined.
Don't
with
give
the
Tony any ideas.
Yeah,
they got the 52 states of United States belt or something.
The international belt, the goddamn Ring of Honor belts, the
it's almost like they heard the European belt. Oh, we'll turn that international.
There's 2 separate trios titles.
Oh yeah, the trios. They're so awful. It's like a Mexico thing. That's a Mexico and Japan thing. Here in the U.S., 6-man tags. There's 6-man tags. Here in the U.S., they're filler matches. Nobody cares about 6-man tags here.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. But they have vote for that.
Yeah,
and WWE died. They died like I remember.
Everybody gets a trophy in AEW.
Yep.
And,
Like a
and I remember
participation award.
Yeah.
Then they died with like I think when like the Freebirds, I believe, then when they left or whatever it is. So those 3-man thing is just whoosh. I think New Day.
There's got to be a story behind it. When the Freebirds wrestled the Von Erichs, there was a story.
Right,
there.
right.
There was meaning.
There was
there.
a story.
People cared about that.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about
matches that they throw on TV every week. Nobody
cares,
right?
Right. Even the 6-man matches when in Portland when Buddy Rose turned babyface. Even those 6-man matches with Kurt and Billy Jack, I mean, they at least told a story against the Clan.
Exactly.
This shit that they just throw together, it's like, did you just throw this together at last minute? I mean, just before you went on the air, you're just like,
I'm pretty sure Tony
guys together.
That's what it seems like.
Uses AI to make his cards every
week.
That's what it's.
Yeah. Say that.
He probably uses AI. It's a good one.
Right. Let me just make up a story. Let me see. Hi.
Yeah.
AI, come up with a wrestling story.
Let me give you a story. Like, hi.
Yep.
It's stupid.
Oh, it's so stupid.
The WWE is trained. They're trained the American audience. 6-man tags are filler.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you're gonna get past that with AEW.
It's
and
like
then the last probably New Day and what was it? The New Day and oh my God, what's the name? The Shield. I think they had something. Yeah, I think they had. I don't know.
It was the Wyatts and the Shield had a few.
Right. Okay.
But there was a story behind that too, which is why those 6-man tags worked. And they were trying to put over Roman back in those days. Roman was like the star.
Yeah, and those were natural factions that belonged together. It's not just 3 guys on a team that have no meaning or not together, and then 3 other random guys on a team. Like those factions had meaning. They were strong groups. They were over groups, and there were stories behind.
Oh, the 6-man tag champions, and both of them are like one big stable now for no reason.
Oh, speak of the devil, they're on TV right now.
Oh, the bang bang scissor bang. What the hell?
Scissor me, daddy.
I need Juice Robinson to come back ASAP because he's like the only one I like.
Now, what about the Gun Boys? Are they now a part of the?
Yeah, they're still in the Bullet Club. I think
the Bullet Club. Okay.
Which, by the way,
are they still against their dad?
No, they're all together in one stable now.
Okay,
for no reason.
Right.
They're trying to tell a story with the dad and the son. I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see where
that.
Well,
and Brian Last said that the one child, I can't think of his name now, but Brian Last was saying how it reminded him of Kurt Hennig in 1983 in Portland, and I was just like, I don't think so.
That's an endorsement.
Like that's a bold statement because Kurt at least knew what the hell he was doing.
Billy Gunn's kids are, they're still kind of green. I'm not really that impressed with them. They need a performance center, like Brian Pillman Jr. When he came to WWE. Look at him.
Oh my God, dude, that dude looks so much like his dad. Have you seen him? He looks like his daddy. Oh my God, I was like, Brian Pillman came back from the grave.
And good for him too.
In AEW, he was boring. He was like just Brian Pillman Jr. in a tag team. And
what were they? The Varsity Blondes?
Yeah, the Varsity something. Like
freaking.
They did nothing with
bottom tier baby-based tag team.
The Stone Cold.
Yeah, the Hollywood
Blonde. Yeah, that's what they were playing.
Yeah, they're trying to rip off
that.
Steve Austin.
Stunning Steve.
Steve. Yeah,
that's when he had hair.
You're right.
For the younger people who don't know, Steve Austin had hair at one point.
Oh yeah, it was blonde and blonde.
Right, and he had that Hulk Hogan type of little look.
Yeah, the Hulk Hogan hair.
you know, Stone Cold.
Wasn't ready to give it up yet.
The Hollywood Blondes, as they were known as WCW.
Yep. All of a sudden, he signs with WWE, and a few weeks in the Performance Center, he's Lexus King, and he's like one of the most over guys in NXT.
Yeah, he can cut a decent promo.
Yeah, he can cut a promo at least. And
that's his new name now.
He's involved in stories.
Lexus King, yeah, that's his new name.
Okay, cool. I'm glad it's working out for him.
King is his stepfather's name, because his dad passed away. So
right.
King is his stepfather's last name.
And I've seen an interview with him. He does not get along very well with his mom for what happened with his dad.
Yeah, I mean,
in fact, she's probably the reason why he kind of self-deleted. Yeah.
It would be crazy if they brought because is he a contender at the moment for for any belts?
Who?
He wrestled Obafemi, I think, for the belt this Tuesday. And
he got beat. Yeah.
Yeah, they should do.
But I mean, he's in title matches, so I mean,
they're pushing him, but
they should do.
He still got work to do.
Yeah, he's more like a character. His wrestling. They don't really use him for his wrestling. He's so over as a character that they'll just put him in with anybody. He gets beat, but he's still over. One of those type of characters.
Because his dad was a character.
Yeah,
he's like kind of like a Dominic Mysterio type.
Oh my! I finally saw what that guy looks like. I was just like, "Holy cow!" He does look like his old man. Yeah. But I'm so used to Ray. I'm just used to Ray and how Ray would jump all over and
I mean,
jump around.
Dominic doesn't really do that.
In the ring. No, he doesn't. I didn't see him wrestle though.
Yeah, he doesn't really do that. He's more like grounded. He could do some things, but he's not his dad. Jumping around. Across the ring.
No,
he's not really good at.
He's a chicken shit heel.
Yeah, that's what he is, and he's good at it. And
that's what happened.
That's why he got Jr.
That's why he got kicked out.
Right. That was silly.
Did they black out y'all's TV too?
Yeah.
For like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were giving.
I heard it was because the whole front row was.
Yeah, allegedly, front row was.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And then Alyssa, she was saying they were calling him the C word. And all kinds.
They were muting a lot during that match.
She was boots on the ground for the IWC.
Yeah, she muted. I mean, they muted a lot during that match. And
they
did.
And that's the name of the game.
Them Aussies, man, you get a few drinks.
And I didn't get that part where he was outside of the ring and he's like, "Oh, I'm smart," and then the opponent was like right in front of him. They did that. Well, it was him. It was him. Right here.
And the referee's like, "You're out."
Right. Like you're supposed to take that person's blood.
It was him. It wasn't me. It was him.
Right. And I'm like,
and he got ejected, and it's like, oh,
he got ejected anyway.
Right.
That was the only.
It didn't even look like he put his foot on the rope. It looked like
Eddie
even
Guerrero mullet though. I'm feeling
foot on the rope.
He put it under the rope.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was fine.
The camera
he didn't need to mess
the
that
foot
up.
wasn't on the rope.
When the other guy, when Damian Priest, no, it was who was the other guy? I'm sorry, what's his name?
Finn Balor.
Finn
Balor. When he pulled his partner out, the referee kind of goes like this. I'm like, well, what do you think? He just jumped out of the ring by himself? Come on.
That was very.
That match was good.
That match was everything. Yeah, I didn't
even
like
the
that.
referees back in the 80s and 90s knew exactly what they were doing.
Reasons.
Even if the heel was pulling on the ropes, like Flair, and when Kurt was a heel, he would pull on the ropes to get extra leverage, and eventually they would catch him. Not like just go, what happened? I don't know.
Two. Wait. What are you talking about? What are you counting? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They definitely bury the refs a lot in modern pro wrestling than back in the day.
AEW is horrible with it.
Yeah, and
oh my god, they might as well not even
to the point where they did a storyline.
I said that. Remember, Greg, when Jim said they had 2 referees for rules they didn't even have? I mentioned that on the show last week because I was just like, Jim, I love you. God, let's kiss.
Yeah,
I mean, how could you have 2 refs when you don't have any rules?
Lazy
booking.
Yeah,
lazy booking.
Yeah. They did a storyline about how incompetent the refs are in AEW.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Tony Khan booked a storyline. Oh, yeah, my refs, super incompetent, no power, they don't do nothing. Just do a storyline about that. I'm like...
It's amazing how they lean into all their weaknesses.
Yeah, all the wrong things they lean into.
It's like opposite worlds. Like you're supposed to lean into your strengths and hide your weaknesses, and they literally do the opposite. On purpose,
right? And
not even on accident, on purpose.
You know what? I remember. For some reason, I remember reading it somewhere when was it Monday Night Raw when they went like 1080p or when they went HD, and supposedly they changed a lot of booking because now you can see it clearer. So you remember back then, right? Because you remember even back then, like when you do when I'm your opponent, you could see the person talking like just check you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So I do remember. I don't know if that has a lot to do with the way they book with referees and so on, but I just sometimes I'm not feeling the way the ref is at or whatever the case might be, helping the wrestlers like don't go there.
And they call that
like I said, in modern wrestling, they just bury.
Yeah,
they don't even try.
Yeah.
Calling spots back in the day was, and you can if you watch Kurt Hennig, he kind of buries his mouth in the guy's hair, or he'll get like really close to him. Nowadays, they just call spots.
They used to try to keep kayfabe alive.
Yeah, and now it's just anything goes. I guess
now it's just blatant.
It takes you out of it.
Hey, I'll do
this.
And
you just start making fun of it.
Right. I'm gonna
Like,
throw you.
The minute
Over
you
the
take me out of it,
road.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing all the
Your
flaws.
mic's on.
Cena, Cena was horrible with calling spots. He would just
Yeah.
scream him out.
Cena, yeah, I heard
Yes.
that.
Bad.
Mhm.
You could always hear, even like recently, you know, you could still hear him calling the spots. But that's up to the producers to like blur, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
like they did with Lashley, like just mute that for a second and work it into your production to where it's, you know.
Or
it
you could
was
just
just-
have the wrestlers, you know,
AEW is really bad
go
at
like
that.
that.
They will sit there and have the camera right on a guy while he blades instead of
Yeah.
with
easily
the
cutting
Chris
to
Jericho
another.
thing. Oh,
Yeah.
we know he's bleeding because I mean Jim Cornette said
They
you know
don't
you
e-
could
they
see
don't
it.
even try.
No,
Yeah,
they don't try to
even
hide
try
it.
to hide it anymore. Nope.
And like I said, it takes you out of it and it just makes you laugh at it.
That's an AEW.
You might as well just use
It's-
fake blood. Everything else
Yeah.
is fake.
Abdullah,
Exactly.
give me the Abdullah the Butcher with the.
Oh, dude.
The fork.
Jesus,
Get this
that guy
movie
was
that
bad.
brought
Let
me.
me play you. Let me tell you something. I told you, I was talking to Angel and I told her I was born in Puerto Rico. So I was, I believe it was Saturday and Sunday. I had 3 hours of wrestling. They had the the console, whatever with Carlitos Colon.
Mhm.
He had WWE and then NWA. And Abdullah the Butcher had that him and Carlos Colon.
Yeah, he was big in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Yeah, he
my.
was.
Snake.
Let me tell you something. And I said to myself, like when I started learning about the blading thing that they did,
Mhm.
I'm like, damn, I remember Abdullah the Butcher blade you instead of the other way around, like themselves.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Do the thing with the fork, and I'm like, and then he'll do it to himself too. I'm
Right.
like,
Mhm.
Right.
But
And
now
a lot of wrestlers would not do that because if you know, I don't know if you guys heard the story either from Brett or Austin, but actually Austin trusted Brett enough to let Brett blade him during the WrestleMania 13 match with him and Brett at WrestleMania 13.
One of the best
But
matches.
usually wrestlers just did it themselves because there was a story that a guy he just cut him to the bone.
Yeah,
Literally
New
cut him
Jack
to the
did
bone.
that.
Yeah. Was it New Jack?
Yeah.
I guess it
Brett
was before New Jack, but what did New Jack didn't do?
Yeah, he
grabbed you.
he took
New Jack was a menace.
he took a poor kid. He was 17 and
I
I'll
remember.
cut you. I'll cut the shit out of you.
Mass
I'll cut you.
transit.
Don't worry. He used a scalpel, a surgical scalpel, and just did that and cut him to the bone and just.
And then he beat the shit out of him for like the next 2 years.
Yeah,
he beat
Like,
the
that
shit out
wasn't
of him.
even stop there.
And his
Like,
father
that
was
wild.
like, the kid's father. He's 17. He's 17. I'm like,
Well, that's
why did
not
you
what
let
he
him?
told New Jack.
Yeah, that's not what he
Yeah.
told Paul Heyman. Why is he lying to these promoters?
And the reason
Yeah, he
New Jack
tried to
didn't get
sue
in
him
trouble
too.
was because that dad called him the N-word at the event, and Paul Heyman testified that he said the N-word, and that's how New Jack basically got off on that because they took him to court. Like,
I
they
do
were trying to get him
remember
to
that.
Yeah, they
I
were.
remember.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
And Paul Heyman took the stand and said that like the dad, called him the N-word or whatever, and
Jeez.
that was kind of when everything turned in New Jack's favor, and he got acquitted, and then he stabbed that guy, and then the guy dropped the charges if he would work with him across the country, and he just ditched him, and then New Jack was
New Jack. I guess
he threw that guy off the scaffolding, and like
I guess he took that. I guess he ran with it with every mess that he has. Oh, they call me the N-word. Goop. I'm like,
yeah, bro. He had some wild promos back. In
he was
Smoky
wild.
Mountain.
Yeah, but he worked for Cornette.
Yeah,
he worked for
Jack,
Cornette.
but yeah, he was a wild dude. Like that when they.
It's hard not to appreciate the character and the dedication to kayfabe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, wild dude, man.
He definitely took it too far, but
that was how you did it back then. Yeah. I have a funny story for you then, D, because I actually was listening to Dutch Mantel's little podcast that he has on YouTube, and he was talking about how Kurt Hennig got kicked out of Puerto Rico.
Wow. Well, you know what? So I'll
what do you got to do to get kicked out of Puerto
Rico?
Hey, so I'll pick it back. That's better than actually being killed.
Because they would throw batteries in.
Puerto Rico does.
Yeah, you got.
Well,
lucky,
you guys
huh?
remember, you
got the adios.
Right. Well, you guys know the story with what's his name, Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, he was killed in Puerto Rico.
Unfortunately, because I always. It's funny we come some. I think I was watching, and I think what is it, Vice or somebody was doing the territory thing, and if there's one, right, and if there's one territory. I mean, I don't know if Puerto Rico is part of the NWA. I don't know. I don't think they were.
I think they were separate. Yeah.
Right.
Dutch Mantel says they were kind of separate with it,
Got-
but I'll tell the story real fast. So
Yes.
basically what happened was Kurt had he had a spot, he had to be under the ring. And you had to keep kayfabe in that time, right?
Mhm.
And it's not like he could just go to the bathroom, even though he had to go to the bathroom. So he found a bucket and took a dump in it, and then left it for the ring guys. And Dutch said that was pretty funny to Kurt, but I mean, he was never asked back to Puerto Rico again.
Wow.
So he took a dump under the ring, left it for the ring. But I mean, he couldn't go. He had a spot. He had to stay under the ring because he was a surprise. No one was supposed to know he was there.
Who did? Do you remember who he fought?
No, Dutch doesn't remember the match.
But let's just hope it wasn't the guy that Bruce Brody fought.
I think this was in the 90s, like the early 90s.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, when he was Mr. Perfect.
Well, I'm surprised that he was there in the early 90s because Puerto Rico took a hit after that.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go there.
No, and the fans would throw batteries. I can't believe Dutch said that. They're like, yeah, if you had heat in Puerto Rico, they would throw batteries at you. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, WCW, they would throw golf balls, or they would throw, I remember when they would throw the drinks in the ring?
Oh, yeah.
At the end of
when Hogan turned.
I mean, Kurt got hit by a drink. Right.
Well, have you guys
seen
Bischoff too, right in the face?
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen the Bruce Brody Vice thing? I don't know if you guys seen it.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
So
I didn't, but I've heard of it. I've heard the story.
Basically, how can I say? That's what I think Carlito's Kids was talking about. That when Bruce Brody was bleeding, like he didn't die immediately. He died because of and then the ambulance was like, is this real? Is this, part of the game?
Yeah, because they were thinking it was all kayfabe.
Right. So,
and that guy got off because he said it was self-defense. But what Dutch said was that literally they wouldn't call anybody to. They knew what the verdict they were going to call because they didn't call any witnesses. They had. I mean, people didn't even know the court trial took place.
They got the subpoenas
they found out after the fact. Yeah,
they got the subpoenas after the trial.
Yeah. Literally.
Wow, yeah.
And it was in Spanish too, so they really can understand what the subpoena even said. So
you're gonna have a couple of
gringos match on TV. Just FYI.
But then you say, Andrew, gringos. They got a couple of gringos in a Puerto Rican court. They'll be like, huh?
Yeah.
What are they saying? Sad story, though. Sad story. My heart's goes to Bruce Brody. Great wrestler.
But I've seen others.
He was a little before my time, but I did.
Yeah, he died. When did he
the
get?
Vice documentary, and I hear nothing but good things about him from the Cornet.
Was it 88?
88, I think.
Yeah, because I think that was right after wasn't it right after, or I think it was before, when Adrian Adonis passed.
Yeah,
his little accident in Norway.
And keep in mind, you had Ric Flair that went to Puerto Rico. What's his name? Kamala,
yeah.
Kamala, yeah, he worked down there.
Right. I always said that Puerto Rico is one of the more underappreciated territories, but I understand that they're not part of that thing here in the United States. But at the same time, it's like that Bruce Brody story really was that thing. It was that, hey,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people.
Hey, man, at least they're coming around now. That backlash Puerto Rico, man.
That was a tough.
The fans.
A tough road to hoe because they Ric Flair sent David Flair there because he was green and they wanted to teach him to wrestle. Ric Flair just said, do something with David, and David didn't stay long in that territory. I hate to tell you, but he didn't stay very long.
Yeah. They would have ate him alive down there.
It seemed like Flair didn't know what to do with his son, so it was like, just send him to Puerto Rico and let him work down there.
Yeah, I think he did that on purpose. I don't think he really cared about David.
Yeah.
And that's honest because, again, the last match that Curt Hennig had ever was with David Flair and was an axe on a pole match. So they not only did they not care, did Flair not care about David, but I don't think other people cared about David either.
You think Rick gave up on his son, like at that point?
He was more about Reese, and Reese is the one that kind of
Right.
passed.
Yeah.
He had a problem.
Wow.
And nobody expected it.
Yeah, and no one expected it, but I also think that there's some dementia with Flair because he's 74, 75 now, and now he thinks he wants to go back to another match when he almost passed out. Well, he passed out 3 times in the ring that we know of, and he almost died.
Twice.
His last
He went into the Young Bucks locker room, and I think that's when I turned off Dynamite.
Twice. Flair nearly died recently.
That sucks, man, that they've ruined Sting's last match with those 2 clowns.
The Bucks, I can't.
It makes me not even want to watch it. Like, I mean,
the Bucks sold. The Bucks and Tony Khan running their mouth. Oh, we sold 17,000 tickets. It's fucking Greensboro in Sting's last match. Sting was so over in Greensboro. Of course, you're gonna sell out.
Exactly. And it just sucks that the Young Bucks are. It should be FTR.
Yeah,
the FTR should be getting that match.
I've heard he's the ultimate heel there.
Yeah.
Like every time the Young Bucks are on TV, like 100K immediately change the channel.
Yeah.
They're not over.
That's true. They were just talking about that on the Jim Cornette show where they lost like 30,000 people like that, and it's because the Young Bucks came on.
They have go away heat with a lot of wrestling fans our age.
Yeah, the reason
that's not. We look at those guys and we're like, man, I could take that. Dude.
Yeah, I'm bigger than
all he would do is flip over me and like a little freaking boy cheerleader. I'm like, what are you doing? You wrestling or are you cheerleading? What are you doing?
The only reason why the Bucks were so over because they were independents, and all you would see is little clips of their matches.
Yeah, but over with who?
And the fans
with the IWC indie fans. You know?
Because it was the Young Bucks and
Wrestling Observer Arena.
Yeah.
That's what I was just going to say. They gave
that's their fan base.
Yeah, David Meltzer gave more 5 stars to the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and those dudes couldn't even lace up Kurt Hennig's boots.
No,
and they're having matches in like bingo.
Right.
Well, I mean, so
like Will Ospreay just had a match in a bingo hall this past weekend,
and then the Young
I'm
the
supposed
Young
to
Bucks
think that he's some big. Imagine Roman Reigns going to one of these goofy indie promotions and wrestling there.
He wouldn't.
No,
I don't think
you're not a big star if you're doing that.
Yeah, even if his WWE contract allowed him to do it, he still wouldn't do it. I mean, why would you show up?
Of course not. And that's why Moxley sucks too, because he does.
John Moxley.
I don't
know. Brian Lashley
in front of 100 people.
John Moxley.
And they hit each other with light tubes and stab each other in the head. Like nobody.
And he kisses people randomly. What is with that? You are a straight guy married to a woman, John Moxley. Stop kissing random men.
When he was in WWE,
that's right. Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang. That's what he calls Kenny Omega.
Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang. Yeah.
But when Dean Ambrose was in WWE, he was good. You know, he was decent. You know, it wasn't like he was horrible there, because McMahon never let him get away with the bullshit he wants to do. So he was decent.
But why would Moxley want to kiss other men? You're married to a woman, dude.
I don't know. Not in his head.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. Stop kissing men.
Something in the waters of Ohio, I guess.
He bites dudes. He kisses dudes. Like he's just a
Plumber Moxley.
Yeah, Plumber Moxley.
John Moxley.
Old man Barker, you're absolutely right.
I just want to go back to the Young Bucks. So the Young Bucks, I guess they were coming with the Briscoe brothers. And all those independent people,
they were Ring of Honor together about 10 or 15 years ago.
Well,
when Cornette
Briscoes were actually
when Cornette ran Ring of Honor, they were there, and Cornette hated them. He didn't want to use them, but it was like, well, they're here. I mean, whatever. We'll put them underneath, with some other tag team, so they don't ruin my main event, which was
Cornette called those guys the minute he saw them.
Yeah.
And he's still right about him too.
Yeah, that's right, and that's why he calls them the, the young
Hardly Boys.
Yeah, the Hardly boys are like the young turds or something.
The Buckaroos.
But like,
they suck.
Yeah, and he says they're just like male cheerleaders, just jumping around doing flips and I could see that if I want to go see male cheerleaders.
They don't look like they could win a fight against an
right, and they look like Hook, just like Hook. He doesn't look like a wrestler. His dad did.
Oh,
Taz. Everyone knows who but Hook is just like this little puny, Dude,
They ruined Hook too.
Oh,
man.
I'm telling
they
you,
had something.
it's
They
horrible.
stuck
They
him.
ruined
They
that.
stuck him with Danhausen.
They ruined Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
They could have done a program
Yeah.
with MJF, heel,
And all
Mark
because of
Briscoe
Jay.
lined him. Mark
They were
Briscoe
trying
would
to
have been
do
the
a
biggest
tribute to
baby face
Jay.
in that company.
Yeah, they
They
were
didn't
trying to do a
use him
tribute
at
to Jay
all.
Briscoe,
Nope.
and they just totally destroyed Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
They had money in that. When Mark Briscoe
they messed up.
arrived.
Tony
and MJF
doesn't.
was still a heel, and MJF it could have been good, man, and they just threw it all
Tony
away.
Khan doesn't care about money. He just cares about collecting his wrestler toys,
It's
and those guys love him for it. They love him for it because they don't have to draw money.
They're taking him for everything he's got.
Yeah, they don't have to draw
you know,
money.
he's
They
friends
love
with
him.
the boys.
He's a money mark.
He's a
to
mark.
T.
Yeah.
Money Mark. Hey, Dad, I need more money. Isn't that what Jim Cornette said the other
That
day?
company has to be losing millions of dollars every.
And they're just throwing money every which way.
They don't
just think
care.
about there's like 200 people on that roster.
The
probably getting paid an average of 300,000 a year. They're probably paying at least 80 million a year just for talent. Not even counting airfare expenses, 5-star hotel rooms, catering, TV, production equipment.
For these shitty wrestlers that do shitty things.
The Khans don't care because ultimately
he's hemorrhaging money.
Tony Khan doesn't care, and his father doesn't care either. It's a tax
because they're worth billions. Yeah,
and they just
it's a tax
signed Soraya's brother. That dude will never be on TV.
That dude with the bad knee who blew out his knee.
I just saw Soraya posted on Twitter their brothers all elite. I guess Zach Zodiac is his name.
Yeah, I know one of her brothers.
He will
nearly
never
signed with
be
WWE.
on TV.
Oh wow!
So I hope the money was good.
They all know he's a money mark.
All friends, all family wrestling.
All friends wrestling. That's right. That's what Jim Cornette will say.
They all know their money. He's a money mark.
2019. That's right. And honestly, I go back to the interview that Jesse did with Chris Jericho right before AEW started, and you know, Jesse was trying to say, why don't you guys, you could steal and make WWE go out of business if you made the wrestlers actually employees. And Jericho just went, I don't know.
Yeah.
He just said a bunch of stuff that random words that kind of they stuck together like Joe Biden on a stupid rant.
Be on TV.
Yeah.
Jericho.
He's the highest paid person in that company. You believe that?
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he is because Tony Khan's a mark for him.
He
so like he's one of the first big signings.
When I didn't even like him in WCW.
They signed him like a 10-year contract. Like he's gonna be there in his 60s.
And he can't sing, he can't wrestle. He couldn't wrestle back in WCW. I didn't like that dude at all.
I've never been a fan of Jericho.
I have not either.
I've never
and this whole thing
as hell, man.
He's the first undisputed champion. What are you talking about?
I know, I can't believe
Yeah, he's also a wizard too. Right, he's a wizard.
I had stopped watching wrestling.
He beats
he's the man with 1,002 moves.
I don't care if he's
I couldn't believe some of the guys they made champions.
I agree, Golden Monarch. I agree.
God, more
INN needs more viewers.
Appreciate that.
But yeah, I mean, it's like the Young Bucks were exposed once they got to national television.
Yeah,
they were exposed as soon as they got on.
They
TV
wrestled the same match every single time.
That's why they got exposed. Yeah, because people realized they suck.
And then people wonder
nonstop. Nobody's selling. It's just garbage.
Yeah, and the thing is that people wonder why they never got to WWE, and I guess
WWE didn't see anything in them.
Right. I mean,
bad cookies.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
underbaked cookies.
They suck. Kenny Omega sucks. I mean, he's never had a real match in his life. The only one in the elite that's good is Cody Rhodes, and he's gone WWE.
And he's WWE bound, you know. Yeah.
And he's about to become champion, probably. Yeah. And Hangnail Adam Page, he looks like Magnum TA now. Have you seen this guy recently?
I know. I tweeted that a few weeks ago.
I did too. He looks like Magnum TA.
Look, yeah, I know.
And it's like he's trying to rip off Magnum TA. He's not even over. Magnum was over. Magnum
was over.
If he had the car accident, he probably would have been a huge star. He would have.
Hangnail shouldn't be in this triple threat match. They should just have Swerve and Joe one-on-one. Tell that story.
They're sticking Hangnail in there because he has a story with Swerve.
Yeah,
so they hate each other.
He
What's the
hasn't beaten
story?
him yet. I don't understand. Like,
Swerve
what
broke
Swerve even
into his
wants.
house, and
Oh,
there's
right. And
Yeah.
they played with his child, and he didn't do
Yeah.
anything about
But
it, right?
he cut it.
Swerve already beat him twice. So what is he going to
Yeah,
just
he beat
lose
him twice.
again? Is he in this
Yeah,
feud
probably.
to lose again? He's not going to win.
Yeah,
probably
they,
gonna
That'd
lose
be
again.
that'd be some real shit if
I'm
Elite
like-
decide to put Hangman as heavyweight champion
yeah.
and the Bucks take the tag team titles.
right.
That'll be the end of AEW. if
I
that
wouldn't
shit
be
happens.
surprised.
Give it back
No,
to FTR.
if they want to, they think they're being good heels right now. They're buying
Yeah.
into their own shit right now. It's terrible. I turn the
Mhm.
channel
Oh, yeah.
every time they're
Matthew
on
and Nicholas. Remember,
Yeah,
they're
they
not Nick
suck.
and Matt anymore.
TV. They're like
Right.
it's still a comedy act. They're trying to be serious. It's a comedy act. It's a bad
They're
comedy act.
they're cosplaying as serious heel tag team. They're
Yeah.
cosplayers. That's all they are.
Mhm.
And like I said, if they really want to double down on this, they'll put the belt on Hangman and just straight up, ugh. I hope that
So
doesn't
Hangman
happen.
will be the champion. The Bucks will be tag champions again, and
Ah.
they'll be all they're all elite. Like, oh yeah, we're the elite.
And they'll
We have
just
all the
they'll
Oh,
belts.
rub it in our
elite.
faces every week, thinking they're getting good heat, and it's just pure go away heat, man.
Yeah,
not
it's like
over it.
literally. It reminds me when the fans, when Roman Reigns went babyface, and the fans basically told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
For
the
years.
AEW
They told
fans
him
would
to go
never
home.
do that. They're too
For
much.
years.
For
Vince
years,
insisted
that's
on
right.
having
Yeah.
it as a babyface. He's supposed to be the next Cena for years.
Right.
Yeah.
Years and years and years. And then finally during the pandemic, Vince like, okay, we're going to turn him, see what happens. And
And I
look what
think
happened.
Roman to
Finally
me,
the
like,
superstar.
and I remember
Yeah.
that because to me, Roman, he had that look of a heel. Just he doesn't have to speak; he just had to be Roman.
Yeah,
And
he looks like a
fans
heel.
like,
He talks
you know
like
what?
a heel.
Yeah, I mean,
He's the final boss. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Yeah,
right.
he's
He
Thanos.
looks
I
like
call
a
him
bad
Thanos.
guy in a
Yeah.
movie. You know,
Yeah, he can snap somebody's
he was miscast for about 6 years.
right. Oh, big
Well,
time.
Vince insisted on him being a babyface, being a Cena type
he tried to
babyface.
Yeah.
force.
The
just
crowd
force
wasn't.
it.
The crowd wasn't.
Well, it
buying
worked. He's like,
No.
well, it worked for Cena. Let me shove him down
Right.
the throats. And I mean,
Yeah, but
But
that's
think-
Cena was like a what we call Ric Flair or coward heel. Like, I mean, it was so bad that like Kurt Angle would come out and say, "Geez, John, it's nice to know I found someone whiter than I am." You know, he who could rap whiter than I am.
yeah, the
You
fake
know,
rap, the rapper, the Eminem gimmick. I called it.
Yeah,
back then.
yeah.
But
It's just like-
and I was kind of I was feeling that gimmick, but then once he went babyface, he got the champion. I mean, there was no way to go
He
back. And,
He did the Marine, and after that, he started. He became like his Marine character. Ever
He
since.
does
It
a
never-
lot of good things, but it always comes
Yeah.
off as kind of phony. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
his actions are in the right place, but it always kind of came off as forced.
but he's a company man. He's
Like,
a
he
company
does
man.
man.
good.
That's
I'm
why.
not gonna hate him for doing all the good stuff he does.
Yeah,
but I
he's a
don't.
company
and he I think Jim Cornette was talking about this, why they won't change him to a heel now. And that's because he does all that Make-A-Wish
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
and
they couldn't
they don't
make
want
They
those
won't
kids
switch
to,
him
like,
now.
Yeah,
yeah,
there'd be no reason.
they're like, oh, but
Yeah.
our hero was John Cena. My hero was Kurt Hennig. so
Probably
it
why
didn't
we'll never
matter.
see Cody as a heel ever in WWE. I don't
Yes,
think we.
No.
I don't know. Like that. Well,
Maybe.
because Dusty was never a heel.
I don't
No.
think we'll ever
WWE.
see
Right.
Cody as a heel, at least in WWE, because
No,
he's already he's going on the same
he-
path Cena went down.
And
The
I
only-
don't think
Once
he's
you go down
and
that
he's bad,
path
too.
as a babyface, you really can't.
No,
walk it back.
and the only if Cody was to be a heel, the only person that I think the crowd would gravitate would be LA Knight.
Oh yeah,
In
LA
that
Knight,
scene.
Cody
You know what I
feud,
mean?
but they're not switching Cody though, so that's kind
No,
of
no.
a moot point.
No,
Yeah.
he's gonna be like his dad when he gets
LA
his
Knight
daddy.
can work both.
I got the daddy,
Yeah.
the belt like my daddy did in the garden that they stole from my daddy in the garden.
Let's
Honestly, I think they could change him heel. At that point, it would be like, okay, your story's told now. Now you can go be a bad guy.
There's
Yeah.
a story to tell with that. I just don't
Yeah.
think Cody has it in him. I think he really sees himself as that little all-American
he
baby
sees
face.
him, yeah.
And
Yeah,
the American Nightmare, he calls himself. But I was
Yeah.
thinking, like, he could just start ramming on, America if he's called the American Nightmare, because technically everything he would say would be right about America. You could just run down
Right.
America and say,
It's
oh,
a
all these
nightmare.
problems.
Yeah,
in
we're
this
a pretty
country.
easy punching bag right
That's
now.
right.
Yeah,
We're
he-
low-hanging
Right.
fruit.
I wonder.
His dad was,
I don't
the
think
American
Cody
Dream,
wants to
so-
switch. Remember back in AEW
No. I'm not saying now. I'm saying, once the story is told, he gets, the belt back from, in MGM or MGS. More power to him. Then if they want to switch him heel,
I don't
then
think they ever force it. He would be having to get booed by a lot of cities.
If you remember when he
would have to force. I don't think they could just.
Yeah. When you remember in AEW, he was being booed out of the building, and he still wouldn't turn.
He had to turn heel or leave.
Yeah, he couldn't. He still wouldn't turn. He was EVP. He could have turned.
He was
still
trying to be that baby face.
Yeah.
Those EVPs.
2/3 of the crowd.
He was the only EVP that cared. I mean, the other guys were just morons,
Yeah,
I hate EVPs because they're the ones that ran Punk out.
Yeah, the Omega and the Bucks, they ran Punk out of AEW.
And Punk was the greatest thing going for him. And I agree with
he was their top draw.
That was their top draw. And
Punk
they literally
versus
ran him
MJF
out.
was the best thing AEW has ever done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But then
there was still more meat on that bone too.
Yeah, they couldn't have.
We didn't get that story finished because
Punk was, if you remember, right before he left, he was the real world champion, and
he was going to be the devil. I'm convinced he was going to be the devil.
I think that was the original plan.
The story, and they're just like, "Fuck it, make Cole the devil."
Well, why
that was the original plan.
Though? Why did Punk come back to WWE?
And that would have worked. It wouldn't have won worst storyline of the year if Punk was the devil. I'm sure.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the devil initially. I'm sure of this, but he signed with WWE instead, and they Tony didn't know what to do, so it's like, just make Cole the devil.
Well,
that was
they ran him out of there.
Ridiculous.
Like he was nothing. Oh, my life was threatened.
Contrived.
Oh, come on, Tony Khan.
What promoter would say that? Imagine Bill Watts or Vince McMahon.
Yeah, that's why I said pussy.
Yeah, or
I think Jim Cornette said that too.
Yeah,
pussy.
Jim Cornette, he's a promoter. I mean, imagine him saying that. He has his life threatened. That's why I had to fire a wrestler.
Well, that's why Jim Cornette was like, I can't believe that pussy said that.
Yeah.
But I want to know, is CM Punk hurt? Did he come back to WWE just because he was hurt? What happened there? I mean, why is he not wrestling?
He came back at Survivor Series in Chicago, which got that big pop.
Right.
Then he got hurt at the Royal Rumble, his first match in WWE.
Oh, okay.
Drew McIntyre injured him.
Seth at WrestleMania, and that was going to be 2 months of great promos that we're going to have to wait for.
And now that's gone. Now we get
McIntyre.
They
had already started burning each other, and it was fucking good.
Yeah, it was good. It was going to be good. I expect that match to happen at some point, but now
probably it'll happen at 41.
Yeah.
Only this time, Punk will have the title, and Seth will be trying to get it back, I think.
And I mean, I expect they're going to transition the belt to Punk, or maybe I mean, I like Gunther. He's an old style heel.
Gunther's the best heel. He's the best real heel in the business right now.
He's an old style heel. When I was growing up, and it was
he doesn't try to be cool. He doesn't try to be like a tweener. He wants to be a heel, and he embraces that fully.
Yeah, Jim was trying to compare him to like Kurt Hennig heel. Like he's that cool heel, but he's still a heel. I sort of agree with that, but I don't know Gunther that well.
He doesn't get any cheers.
Yeah, I could see that. Right.
There's a good
and I could see that. That was the same with Kurt and when he was Mr. Perfect.
No, and it's funny with Gunther. He got that entrance where he's built from what country again?
Austria.
Austria. I think he's Austrian.
Right. So, but then if you look at, I hate. Well, you can't say I hate, but my understanding is that Hitler was from Austria.
Right.
So there's definitely parallels there.
Yeah. Right. So Gunther got that they're
not screaming it at you, but there's
right. They kind of like So that's the thing with Gunther. I like Gunther a lot. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. The Duke could work. He lost a lot of weight.
I think that's who Cody's going to be wrestling at 41.
Yeah.
Cody and Gunther. Top face, top heel.
And I think Roman. You have to put over Gunther in that match. I'm sorry. Because Cody been champion for a year at that point, that's enough.
You do, man. I think you do.
You
have to
by
put then,
Gunther over.
That's if they haven't, decided, we're just going to let Roman Reigns
stale by then as a champion.
I don't think Roman's going to be champion again when he drops.
I hope not. I mean, it's been too dang long.
I doubt it.
Okay, and 3 years is enough.
Probably.
I won't be surprised if he goes to the movie. Yeah. I won't be surprised if he follows, or I'm not gonna say follow, but The Rock. I won't be surprised if he takes.
No, he is.
Yeah, I won't be.
And
surprised.
then he'll come back and be that special attraction.
He'll basically blueprint what The Rock did.
Right.
Yeah, he'll be that special attraction that comes
back,
like the Brock Lesnar role.
Yeah, I don't remember The Rock being champion for 3.5 years. I mean, come on, enough is enough, boys.
No, this hasn't been done since
Hogan.
Yeah.
Hogan
But
was champion 4 years.
Yeah, but he also beat who was
nobody had the championship belt this long when I was, watching as a kid.
No,
only
but
like I thought Hulk Hogan had the WCW title for a while. That was only like
a year. I think
Yeah,
Hogan's longest
Austin
reign.
I
was
felt like he had
18
that
months.
belt my entire childhood. Jesus.
My issue.
That's because he just kept passing it back and forth between.
Yeah,
them.
kept switching it to him.
Yeah, my issue with
politics.
my issue with having, like, I'm cool with, like, let's say having the belt for like a year. My issue, what happens when you have the belt for that long, and what happened with Hogan, is that, like, I think you was mentioning, Richie, is that you have Paul Ondo. You're really gonna kill a lot of characters, like a lot of just.
You're gonna bury all the baby.
Yeah, that's why they're scared to take it off of them, because they know it's gonna have a huge ripple effect.
Oh, big time
on the product. I mean, like, you don't want to fix what ain't broken right now. I mean,
right. Well, and
that's why
they're killing it. They're selling out house shows.
That's why I think that it's a good chance Cody may lose at WrestleMania.
I wouldn't be surprised,
because they're trying to get him past that Hogan, that for 1,400 plus days.
Yeah, but I mean, enough is enough.
No, I agree, but
not Hogan.
Yeah, I agree.
I genuinely, I think you're right. I think they are kind of worried about taking it off Roman and not knowing what's next. Like, where is this going to go?
But now you just killed Cody, because now
you're gonna kill Cody.
Yeah, you're gonna kill Cody.
You just kill him off. Yeah.
So my thing. So let's just say, if I play with what Angel said. If it goes deeper, I mean, we got SummerSlam will be the next biggest pay-per-view. I'm just thinking, who would the WWE trust, like, you that next one? If you guys,
I would say Cody.
Yeah, right now Cody's really the only one.
I would say Cody.
And
even after the fact that he loses again.
That's okay, but at least he's not like they're not trying to beat the.
They would have to really screw him over.
The Hogan era,
like, would have to come
they would have to.
Yeah, they're trying to recreate the Hogan era again. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. Hogan wasn't even good when he was in that era.
Right.
He had.
He was the best smoke and mirrors wrestler of my
all time.
Right. If you watch
but we had. Hey, listen. But we had. Listen, we have fun. We have fun with Hogan. I mean,
I had the doll when I was a kid. The buddy, the little wrestle buddy. I had the Hogan wrestle buddy.
Oh, come on, really?
If you
and then I got a little brother, and then he became the new wrestle buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You always got to try out the moves.
If you break Hogan down,
your little brother.
Yeah.
If you break Hogan down, he's a personality. Who had the 10 to 12 minute match. He dropped the leg. He beat everybody every night. That's what Hogan was. He's a personality, and he would have the 8 to 12 minute match and beat everybody. I mean, he wasn't an impressive wrestler.
Very rarely
until he had that heel with Mr. Perfect. And this is why I don't think Hogan should have said, well, Perfect's not in my league. No, he's beyond your league, honey. But if you saw those matches, Kurt was jumping around and being the good heel he could be.
He's a bumping around.
Kurt suffered from Hogan
look great.
So Richard, you're big Mr. Perfect. Am I? Yeah. So was how can I say Hulk Hogan was the first one to get out of that perfect plex? If I'm not mistaken.
No.
Who kicked out of that first? Was it?
I mean, I'm not trying to stump you here. I
think
do
it was
remember
that's a good
that
question.
It was a big thing.
It might have been Brett.
It was a big thing.
I think it was either Brett or it wasn't Beefcake. I think it was Bret Hart.
It had to be Bret Hart. Yeah.
At 91, the SummerSlam 91 there.
I want to address Old Man Barker. Hogan can work. He could work in Japan. I've seen some of his matches in Japan.
No one's saying that Hogan couldn't work. It's just that Hogan, for some reason, would not bring that Japan magic to the WWE, and that's because, as Angel pointed out, that he's like the Americans don't care. It's not that we didn't care; it's that the new WWE was all cartoonized. It was it wasn't like the old territories.
It was the sizzle,
right?
He didn't need to work the 30-minute Japanese style. He just needed to do the 8 to 12 minute match. I dropped the leg and I beat everybody every night.
Right.
That's all he needed to do.
Fix what ain't broken.
Right.
And I can imagine Vince McMahon in the background in a gorilla position, whatever when he's doing the 24 pythons. Vince is like, yeah,
yeah. That's why he tried to
that.
recreate with Luger after Hogan left.
Right,
He tried to recreate
the
that.
left
It didn't work.
express. He just
And
Oh,
that
that
was
was
never going to work.
personality.
They would have had a better chance with Kurt because at least Kurt knew how to work.
Yeah.
He was the best worker, and he was, one of those guys that, I mean, he was from Minnesota. He was like the all-American boy.
Did
Luger
Kurt ever
was
work babyface?
Yes,
Really?
93 or
93?
just before.
Yeah,
just
that's
before
right.
They turned him
Survivor
babyface.
Series. Yes,
That's right.
So what happened was right before Survivor Series 1992, both the Warrior and Davey Boy Smith got popped for human growth hormones, and both got fired at the same time. So it was supposed to be Warrior and Savage against Flair and Ramon at Survivor Series, and of course, because that happened, so the Warrior got fired, and then Vince came to Kurt and said, "Hey, will you turn babyface and be Savage's partner
you got
at Survivor Series?" Yeah, because I've seen this, and I think it's episode 8 of my channel. If you go on my channel, we do a watch along with his babyface.
Send me a DM to a link on Twitter for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, you like her channel. I mean,
my God, yeah. Because I put my 2 cents in there, and it's kind of like it wouldn't be acceptable. It would be in 92 if, like, I said, "Okay, Mr. Latino, Mr. Fake little." I'm from Cuba,
what's the problem with Latinos? What the problem with Latinos? Yeah, he had that Scarface thing going on.
And that was and actually it was Kurt who came up with that. He also helped with Shawn Michaels too.
He was ripping off. He was ripping off Scarface. And Vince never saw Scarface, apparently. So he didn't know.
But Kurt had mentioned it because that's why he. And he also heard the Heartbreak Kid. It was a lyric from a country song. So that's how he helped Shawn Michaels as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
You can attribute
Scott Hall did Razor Ramon well. I mean, it wasn't he was shit at it. Yeah, he did it well.
And if you saw him in AWA, I kid you not, you guys would be like, "That's Scott Hall. That can't be Scott Hall."
Yeah,
he had this big afro hair.
And with the mustache. Yeah,
that's Scott Hall. That can't be Scott Hall.
No, I mean he did a great job at Razor Ramon. That I think back then if he had Google, I think Fidel Castro, Razor Ramon, did they take together?
Are they twins?
He did it well, and they got him over to a nationwide audience. He was a superstar, and then he took advantage when WCW, and he's like he acted the same way, even though he was Scott Hall, but he acted the same exact way.
The accent.
I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, he was he was like Razor Ramon, except he couldn't use the name. It's the same exact character in his second run.
We're doing a little survey.
I'm just the guy. I think he changed that too. I'm not the, I'm just the guy.
One more town for the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, then Kevin Nash went to WCW, and he was pretty much Diesel, except he had Kevin Nash, his real name.
And they're called the Outsiders, and that's when that whole the NWO kind of went into Eric Bischoff's brain, I guess, and kind of mulled around a little bit because when Nash came in, they were called the Outsiders, and then just like smacked into Eric Bischoff, we should have them be some kind of group
invading force.
That didn't adhere to the rules. They weren't about tradition,
You guys remember? So the internet was popping off at that time, So obviously this was a known thing, and I remember Vince. He went on this like a sports thing where he was doing an interview. And he had to address it, and he was like, "Well, they went there because Ted Turner, blank checks and all that." And I was saying to myself, like, WWE, you don't have that much money like that. And I was concerned as a wrestling fan, to be honest. Look, I love competition. I love wrestling. I love all that. But I'm like, I do remember the outsider angle. Yeah. Because even though I knew what was happening, it just came off like cool. Like You'd be like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
He
Right,
walked
and that's
in the
why-
middle of a match going on,
Right.
just started
And
cutting a
literally-
promo, like, you know who
Yeah,
I am,
and
but you
threw
don't
Eric
know why I'm
Bischoff through
here.
the
And that was
through
it, man.
that side table where he just threw him, he power bombed him down into the thing. And I know what you're talking about. I was just talking about this with my guy Matt Collins, who is Grass Fire. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he was. I was telling him that the WCW, when they were giving contracts to the WWE wrestlers, it's kind of like almost what Vince had done to the territories. Only this was done
an irony.
a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little
Mm.
irony, and it didn't work out. But I mean, it just kind of reminded me of when, because Kurt talks about this in an interview that I can give to anybody. It's a radio show he did in 2000, several years before he passed. And he said, they said, it sounded like he was going to go for another run in WCW, or I'm sorry, in WWF right before he left. But if everyone remembers, he was managing Triple H. And they said, oh, well, he's going to come back and do another WWE run. Well, that would have been true if he hadn't talked to Eric Bischoff. And he said that the contract Eric Bischoff gave him was way more than Vince would even think about. So, I mean, they had already planned on getting him over to WCW. And I mean, Eric Bischoff, if you heard his little thing about, his take on Kurt, he actually had his father there and Larry said, are you going to screw my son? And he said, and Eric Bischoff is like, no. But I don't think they knew what to do with Kurt, just like they didn't know what to do with Brett. But I think I compared it to the same thing that Vince did with the territories, is what Bischoff and Ted Turner were doing with.
And it's kind of like what Tony Khan's doing now, just signing all these
absolutely.
AEW and WCW, they kind of
there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, big time.
Tony Khan is the modern day Herb Abrams
Herb
from
Abrams.
UWF. Yeah, he's like the modern day Herb Abrams.
Man. He's just a richer version of Herb.
Yeah.
So it's taking
He's
longer
like,
for the shit to implode.
Instead of cocaine, he just does Adderall all day. Like,
yeah, bro.
Because he just talks on and on and on. Yeah. It's like, come on, Tony, get to the point. And then what they have Greg, you remember the great counter that they have? So every time Tony Khan says great,
oh yeah,
ding!
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Jim has the
great. Yeah,
great.
Everything's great. Everything's great. I mean, we did record business here, and, here and here and here and here. Great. And it's like,
it's like a robot.
It's like, hey Tony, we see the empty arenas from the country. Everything's not great.
Right.
That's what pisses me off. He thinks they can just lie about shit. And the problem is, like,
thinks he's
the
Vince.
hardcores buy into it. Like, yeah, Tony, you're the king. Cook these. It's like, what are they watching? Like, this product is failing right now.
He thinks he's Vince. He can get away with type of
it
stuff.
A little bit.
Absolutely.
One thing Tony does that pisses me off is when he announces overruns like hours before the show. Like, the whole point of an overrun is for it to feel spontaneous as it's happening.
Yeah, just announces it.
When you know it's an overrun, it just makes everything feel fake. And
Yeah,
it defeats the entire purpose of having an overrun to begin with.
Right.
He started
he
announcing
overruns and he's paying for that. That costs money.
Yeah.
To do an overrun. Probably
he started announcing them because Jim Cornette made fun of him for the overruns.
Yeah, because he would always say my DVR froze.
Made fun of him.
But so he wouldn't. The DVR would cut out right before, and Jim kept making fun of him. It's like, I'm not.
But you can program the overrun into the program without announcing it. You can just make your show.
Why watch shitty wrestling if it's going to overrun?
Like, you can call the network and tell them, "Hey, I'm doing an overrun. Give me an extra 5 minutes on it," and not tell anybody. And the DVR will record the extra 5. Like, that's all you got to do.
That's exactly what Jim Cornette was trying to say.
The entire purpose of an overrun.
Right.
That's what
WWE
I
don't know why he doesn't understand that.
They did it in the 90s.
WWE did it all the time.
Yeah, Bischoff did it all the time.
Yeah,
but
Bischoff
it worked
did it too.
Because
but nobody
like
announced
5
it.
minutes before the show was ending, and Shivani would be like, "We're staying with this as long as
we're
we need
staying
to."
with
and that made it feel real and spontaneous. And like,
and it was like, we're going to have a great, whatever match it was, we're going to have a great main event, and a lot of that was, the NWO was a part of it, or Hogan and Sting, and that whole, and they would build it up. But I mean, at least they had a story and something concise that they were actually trying to overrun. You wanted to see the end of those matches.
I do remember those days. I think Angel was mentioned. I know WWE did it. I know, especially with WCW with Tony Schiavone. Wait a minute, we off there, but wait, stay tuned. But I do remember those overruns, whether it was in WWE and in WCW. A lot of times, if my understanding is to push some new show coming in, whether it's the USA Network, right? And then WCW was on TNT or something.
Yeah.
They'd always promote some stupid show after Nitro,
Stay tuned.
Well, they had to. The network ordered that. They had to promote the shitty show.
WWE had La Femme Nikita. Was that?
I remember that show.
On USA.
Yeah, they had to promote that. It was awful. It was like this this hot woman, she was dressed in like leather,
like
it was like,
she was the OG girl boss.
Pacific Blues, you guys remember that?
Yeah. Is that the one with Mario Lopez? Was he in there?
I don't remember.
I do remember the bike thing.
I didn't like any of those shows.
WWE had to, or WWF, they had to promote all these shitty shows that USA wanted to plug, and none of them ever really worked. But
well, here's the kicker, and I found it funny. So whenever they would have, like, if you guys remember the whole build up to Hogan and Sting, that they were going to be in Las Vegas, they were going to sign a contract, and they would be on only when the commercials. So they didn't run commercials during that whole contract signing, and they did that. They were doing a Young Hercules series or something, and then they would have like the Giant. There would be like Giant versus Hogan, and they would just be on the commercials. So they didn't even run commercials at that time, which I found fascinatingly funny that they would actually take off the commercials just so they could run WCW.
Well, Turner owned the company, and it was their network, so that's why they said fuck it, no commercials
at that time.
Exactly.
That was when Ted was still in charge.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. So I remember. So when Goldberg's run or whatever the case might be, I do remember that we had cable, and I think we just downgraded just to basic, like just whatever. And I do remember having TNT at that time still, and I always say that sometimes the ratings for WCW, sometimes I feel like they were manufactured.
It could have, but I don't think that Turner really cared. It was more like Turner was kind of like the backbone. If you ever hear Eric Bischoff, talk about that, there was other inklings below him that like just they didn't even care that it was a wrestling program. They didn't know what to do with it. They know they needed a wrestling show or promotion on TNT.
No, most of Turner hated wrestling.
Yeah, they didn't want
WCW.
They were forced to.
The only one who loved it was Ted Turner.
The highest shows on cable at the time.
That's why Turner wanted in. Yeah.
Every other show, every other executive hated it. Ted wanted WCW, which is why it was still on, even though every other executive hated WCW at that time.
And Eric Bischoff says, it was kind of like we were on our own, and we were what they call the bastard child of
Turner
Network
Broadcasting,
and that's
because
how
no one knew what to do with it.
Executives.
Right.
When Ted kind of relinquished power after the merger,
he accidentally relinquished power. He didn't know he was relinquishing power until after
that merger. I always remember that merger.
Yeah,
and
that merger. Once that merger. Yeah, once that merger happened,
WCW was dead. It's a matter of time.
That was my thing.
They sat down with Eric Bischoff. This is what Bischoff said. They sat down with him and said, we should make this a family program. And Bischoff said, but that's just exactly what Vince did before the Attitude Era. And that's why he was losing in the Monday Night Wars. It's because he was trying to make it a family program. When Vince stepped back and said, okay, wait, maybe we should gear this more towards adults, and of course the whole
they were doing the opposite
McMahon.
Of what was hot
right, they were doing the opposite. So Bischoff kind of said, "Why would we do that when we know we're going to lose?" And it was the beginning of the end. Yep. They didn't care about that.
Bischoff said he should have resigned right after that meeting, but he didn't. He stayed on longer.
He stayed on.
After that Attitude Era, everybody likes to give the top guys credit for those ratings, and they deserve it. But there was a good chunk of people watching that Raw just to see Trish and Sable and Sunny.
Yeah, it's
and
a
no one's
teenage.
taking that
They
away.
were. I feel like they were just as much as part of the ratings as
Yeah,
almost
because
anybody.
Yeah,
Because
no
it was
I
the
was a
one's
90s.
taking
teenager
that
then.
away from them.
Uh-huh.
I just think that a lot more people wanted to watch Austin beat up Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
Which was the appeal
I
of Raw.
enjoyed that.
Which is what
thoroughly.
they wanted, because the middle class felt like, in the real life,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vince
told a
says
real
this
life
in the
story.
rivalries that
Yeah.
the whole Austin versus McMahon was, the middle class versus the
The
blue
rich.
or
The
the
ruling
rich,
class.
the
Yeah.
ruling
Right.
class. Thank you. Yes.
And
So
they loved it. We all ate
and
it up. I
yeah,
mean, it
we
was
all
like,
hated
up,
Vince
man.
McMahon. We all wanted to
Yeah.
see Vince McMahon get his
because
comeuppance.
Vince McMahon was the proxy for all our bosses. We've had that
That's right.
asshole boss.
Whether it was
in
a
our life.
boss or a mom or a
teacher.
dad or someone who
was
was
a proxy.
abusive.
Like
Right.
Vince was the proxy for all that
That's
heat we
right.
have in
And
our
you could
lives.
live vicariously through
Yeah.
Austin.
Hell
And
yeah.
when
Beating up
Austin would
Vince.
actually get at Vince McMahon, we're all like, yes, trust me, I bought the pay-per-view for St. Valentine's Day Massacre so I could specifically watch Austin beat the living hell out of Vince McMahon all
I
over
was
the
more
damn
excited about
cage.
that match
I
than-
love that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we got Paul White sighting, Paul White. But that's
And you can see the knife.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Yeah,
see
it's
the
like
knife?
this-
Oops. Oops.
I mean,
they
my-
weren't supposed to film that, I'm sure.
yeah, man. My thing with
I was like,
that,
"Oopsie."
and then my thing with the that situation, the thing, like, you gotta keep in mind, Stone Cold was something different.
Mhm.
Whether
gotta
he
go
would
to
say
the
ass,
Yeah, go to the bathroom.
he would right. So when he said those things, as a wrestling fan, you just like, right? I mean, again, I think this was the same time with ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so different when WWE did it, and you believe in that product. Like, oh, wait a minute.
Stone Cold was so believable.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah.
He was so believable. And he just, the catchphrases, they would just roll off your tongue. They were easy to remember. They were easy to play along with.
My
I
favorite.
remember being at school getting in trouble for repeating some of the stuff I heard on these programs.
I didn't really care, but my favorite was, and it would always start with the asshole.
Yes.
You go, I don't know how good your hearing is, but you got about 15,000 people calling you an asshole.
Well,
he knew how to play on everything, man. He was
Right.
good. These guys
Yeah,
didn't
that's
need
right.
scripts.
and
These
not
guys
only
just
that,
go out there and say it.
That's
yeah,
right.
not
Say
only
what they
that,
felt at the time.
the other thing with Stone Cold,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you look at if you look at Dusty, if you look at Stone Cold, I'm just trying to think of some wrestlers that they match their character match who they real, like their real persona.
Right. Dusty was son of a plumber, so of course
Right.
he's the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
And
Yeah.
those
Right.
personas were kind of microcosms of the culture at that time.
Right.
Yes.
So that's
Mhm.
kind of what brought in a lot of mainstream people that never really watched wrestling before, because all of a sudden they could
Mhm.
relate to these guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so was
to
the
these
NWO.
stories.
That's why the
Right.
NWO was kind of the enigma that kind of started it all.
Yes.
Because
I
it was
always thought with the NWO when I was who's the third man? I remember telling my
It's
friends
Hogan.
it has to be Hogan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no,
Really?
Hogan would never say Hogan's not a bad guy. I was like, no, it's Hogan.
Yeah,
Because
because
he was
Hogan was not doing well as a baby face.
Yeah,
so
so
they said,
Everybody knew
yeah.
that it had to be done.
Eric
It's like the
Bischoff.
higher power.
Man,
Well, who's
am
higher
I
than
the
Vince
only one that
McMahon,
didn't think
right?
it was
Me all
Hogan?
along.
It was Vince McMahon who was
Yeah,
the higher
Hogan.
power. And they were like, oh, it's Jake the Snake. Oh, it's Bret Hart. I'm like,
Right.
no,
No.
who's higher than Vince McMahon? Now, come
Yeah.
on. Really? You're
Yeah.
not using your brains at this point.
So Hogan had to be the third man. And Eric Bischoff said in his podcast he had Sting. He convinced Sting
Yeah,
to turn
Yeah.
heel.
exactly. They
That I've
almost
heard.
was Sting.
That's before
Yep.
Hogan. Hogan said
Hogan
was doing
initially
it.
turned it down.
Yeah. He said, okay, thank you, Eric, for coming. And he's like,
Yeah, he
no
turned
way
down
Hulk's
turning
going to
heel.
Then
turn.
Hulk saw
but
how
he-
hot the act was getting.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Hulk
Said,
was
all
like,
right, maybe we can
That's
do
and
this.
right.
Hulk was like, he
Ultimate
summoned
Hulk Hogan
Bischoff to
move
his
right
movie
there,
set.
man.
That's
He
right.
summoned Bischoff to his movie set. Is like, who's the third man, brother?
Yeah,
Right.
And
he
Bischoff's like,
saw
huh?
it, man. He saw it
And
coming.
he's like, oh, I'm your third man. And he's like,
Oh,
oh,
man.
okay, great. That's perfect. I want it. Then he had to tell Sting, oh, yeah, we don't need you to turn anymore. Which I don't think Sting wanted to turn heel anyways. But
No,
Yeah.
No.
at that time, I think he just kind of wanted to be that, if Hogan was going to turn heel, then he could be that baby face.
I
But
always
old
got
man
the feelings-
Barker is mentioning the Hard Times promo, which I love. It's like,
Hard
you know,
time.
my belly just a little big. You know, I'm not a top athlete, but that's hard times.
Hard
That's hard times.
Yeah.
And Greg, does not Jim Cornette do a perfect,
Dusty.
no pun intended, a perfect Dusty impression?
He
It's
sure
like
does,
Dusty just
man.
walked in the room.
Yeah.
Like,
You know who
oh,
does
geez.
good impressions? Bruce Pritchard. I don't know. Do y'all listen to Bruce Pritchard's podcast with?
I
Yeah.
heard
He
some
does
of
good
the
impression.
It's pretty good.
Especially
pretty
Vince.
good, pretty
He does a
informative
Vince really well.
If you were watching in the late '80s, early '90s,
He does a Vince really well, Bruce.
He does Cornette well. He does.
Does he
Jerry
do
Jarrett
Cornette?
well?
Yeah, I mean, Bruce.
Well, goddamn. I mean, come on. He's like,
Yeah.
goddamn. It's like, I can't do Cornette well, but like,
Wasn't Bruce?
motherfucker.
Am I confusing? Was Bruce Pritchard the brother love?
Brother Love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brother
Hey,
Love.
Brother Love.
Right.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I guess acting was probably his thing. Like, y'all remember the Brother Love character? That's another hated character that
He based that off.
Brother-
on,
Yeah, that was to
Christian
make fun of the
evangelical preachers back in the day.
televangelists. of the
Yeah,
day. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a parody
Yeah.
of televangelist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love you.
You-
Well, sorry, Bruce. I think we need to see other people.
Yeah, with the red face and going on.
And
I'm
I'm
like,
sure-
the dude was
And
the
as
original.
Angel said, that red face was Vince basically doing a rib to
He was ribbing Bruce,
Bruce
yeah.
Pritchard. Yeah, he was ribbing Bruce.
And then
Okay.
they kept it because it was so unique.
It fit
It
him
was-
so well. I'm just like,
Yeah.
dude, the red got to go.
Right.
Bruce, he's got some great Dusty Road stories.
Yep.
Steph, I would, yeah. If you don't listen to Bruce Pritchard, I would check him out.
I
It's
did
one of
hear
it's behind
some of the
Cornette.
Kurt
I listen to
Hennig
Cornette's the
stuff.
GOAT, but
Mhm.
Pritchard is probably
Yeah.
one of my
I
top
actually
five.
listened to Bruce Pritchard talk. I only heard about half of it, and then I had to leave work. But when Bruce talked about Kurt, he talked
Mhm.
about the one story that Kurt would always tell, that Joe was at a baseball game and he was getting up to bat and he spit out his gum and slapped it away, and I would have been like, high five. But apparently his wife didn't like that.
Yeah, Terry
Kurt thought
Taylor
it
was mad that Kurt Hennig
thought it
got
was
that
funny.
gimmick. Terry Taylor thought the Mr. Perfect gimmick was supposed to go to him. not Kurt.
Right? Yeah, because he couldn't
Um,
really come back from Red Rooster.
Yeah, that was
I
a
don't.
death
That's
sentence.
interesting because
Bruce
Terry
still
Taylor
defends
was
that gimmick. He still defends the Red Rooster
Terry
gimmick.
Taylor was a good worker, but he needed something
about
to
it.
dress him
Yeah.
up. You know, like he was a good worker. That's all he was, and he needed something to dress him up. And
Hey.
I don't know if he could have pulled off the Mr. Perfect gimmick like the way Kurt Hennig
Nah.
did.
No, I mean,
No,
because Kurt was good at a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Yeah.
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 I mean, because I remember the Red Rooster, like, well, you know, Terry Taylor. He was a good worker. What was it, in WCW or what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
whatever?
Terry
Right,
Taylor.
he
Yeah,
did.
Terry
Yeah.
Taylor. He
Really
came in
was
as
in
Terry
WCW.
Taylor. Yeah.
Right.
He was
And
a
I remember
heel with Bobby Heenan. Mhm.
And then I remember the announcers, whatever, the WCW was like, you know, he's, you know, and I'm thinking, so why he didn't work out in there? When he did the Red Rooster, I'm like, that's a waste of talent. You know, that's because he's supposed to be talented.
Well, the way Bruce Pritchard defends it is like he's the cock of the walk. He's
Yep,
the Red
yeah.
Rooster.
Yeah,
you know, it
he's
would have
like-
worked
he's
if he would have
cocky,
embraced.
but-
the
He would have
character,
leaned
it
into
would've
it more. It would have
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah,
But
that's
they
what
turned
Bruce
him
Pritchard said.
babyface. You know, they turned him against.
Right.
I think that was right after. Was it before? It was before WrestleMania 5 that they actually turned him babyface and turned him against Bobby Heenan. Because if and I do an episode of this, and it'll drop probably in mid-March, early March or something.
Yeah,
But
who didn't turn against Bobby Heenan?
well, I
I
mean,
know,
but
right?
it had to fit. So, I mean,
Right.
when Kurt turned
Bobby-
against him, it was, you know, he turned against Flair, Ramon, and Bobby. So,
Yeah.
so it had to actually fit the story. But the thing with Rooster or Terry Taylor, he actually did come back in '93, and he actually had a match with Kurt on Raw in '93, and he was just Terry Taylor.
Yeah,
The crowd
people
kept
to this
making fun of
day.
him, though.
I remember
The
that.
crowd
Yeah,
kept
people-
making
people-
fun of him.
Yeah,
People remember
It's
Terry
good.
Taylor as the
And
Red Rooster
Cornette
to
calls
this day.
him a stooge because he ratted him out to Russo.
Yep.
So Terry Taylor's
Yep.
kind of on my shit
And
list for
TNA.
one.
That was in TNA. Yeah.
Yep.
When
Yeah.
to
When I
this
see
day,
Terry
people-
Taylor, like what he does now, he does the NXT.
uh,
Is he
Where
Is
is
he
he?
even
Where
still
I'm not
involved?
sure what he's up to now.
I thought
I know he was
I thought
doing
he was
something.
He might be. He's probably in
behind
AEW
He might be in
somewhere.
WWE. Yeah,
Yeah, I see him. I'm like, is he still around? Like,
he
really?
might be in NXT. He'd be a
He
good
might
coach.
be,
I mean, he's a
yeah.
good worker. Yeah.
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 Yeah, he was a great worker, no doubt about that. Him and Kurt faced each other. It was Mr. Perfect versus Red Rooster at SummerSlam 1989. In fact, that was one of my questions, and I will have that in episode drop. But I liked that match. I thought it was a great match, especially in New Jersey where you are, Angel.
Yeah.
I love that match. I loved
Yeah, I
all the
mean-
matches with Red Rooster and Kurt Hennig.
I mean, to this day, people remember Terry Taylor as the Red Rooster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To this day, that's his gimmick. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what he was.
That was his thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he would have leaned into it, he probably could have been a bigger star. But he
I
thought it
agree.
was a rib. He thought it was a rib, so he wasn't into it. It didn't work,
Yeah, like Dusty leaned into the polka dots.
Yeah.
You know, when Dusty first came in '89, he had the jeans and the tie-dye shirt, but if he leaned into those polka dots, and a lot of people still think that the polka dots were a rib on Dusty, but Dusty didn't see it that way.
Yeah, it could have been because Vince was like, well, he was the booker in NWA.
Polka dots.
He
He'll have polka dots.
Yeah,
I can't do the McMahon impression. Sorry.
They'll have polka dots.
That's it.
It's funny because earlier I was thinking that if, let's say, Cody Rhodes, let's say if he wins the championship, he does the Dusty thing with the knees and shit or some weird, like,
I would love that.
That would have been, like, here.
I think wherever Dusty is, he would actually smile down at his own son for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And he does his bionic elbow in his punches, so he does honor in his matches, his father. But
Kurt did the same thing with his father when he would do that axe like forearm.
Yeah.
That was already the Axis thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
man, all this talking makes me want to like put on some like early '90s WWE pay-per-views.
I'm gonna go
like remember what it's like to watch good wrestling.
If you have Peacock, it's a great thing.
Like I want to go put on like early '90s.
That's why you guys was kept
on Collision on.
Appreciate how lucky
you need a palate cleanser. You need a palate cleanser.
I do.
Turn on 88, 89.
I just watched
90.
2 hours of Collision. All right, like
there you go.
Garbage. Yeah.
There you go,
oh
baby.
God.
That's why you guys kept on mentioning the Red Rooster. I kept on going. Like I remember that Red Rooster thing. Like,
I like when in that match in SummerSlam '89, Kurt does this. He's mocking him. He's mocking him. I love that.
That was a shoot too, because that pissed him off.
yeah, because Terry hated the gimmick.
Real hard.
Terry hated the gimmick, so he was like, "Motherfuckers,
don't be mocking me."
But like Bruce explains the logic behind his sense for the kind of person Terry was.
Yeah,
he was a little bit cocky, a little bit, he's full of himself. He knows he's a good worker, so
the Red Rooster.
So it's like, let's dress him up because he was just a good worker. He didn't really have much of a character, so let's just dress him up. Red Rooster.
It could have been worse. He could have been a plumber, or like a garbage man, or a hockey goon, or.
Yeah.
But I like that. I love Kurt's hockey vignettes. Who didn't like that, right?
Yeah.
I think my favorite was. I can honestly say this because I'm the only lady here, but I love the billiards one because I'd be like, you guys can leave. Me and Kurt gonna have some fun on the billiards table.
I always remember that he had the basketball. And I think they had the baseball player Wade Boggs, I believe it was.
Wade Boggs,
yeah, they had him in the baseball thing.
And in his interview, they did a documentary on Mr. Perfect thanks to Greg Gagne. Who was good friends with Kurt, and Wade. They interviewed Wade for that, and he said, "I'm standing out in left field thinking, oh, he's gonna hit the ball to me," and he's like, "That mother effer hit the home run the first time."
Legitimately, I mean, he's a good athlete.
It was a believable gimmick.
Right,
it was easy for him to play. Like it fit him like a glove.
Yeah.
When he did the shot, the football thing, I'm like,
I've never heard the story that Terry Taylor thought he should get Mr. Perfect. I mean, that's a good one.
I had heard that in passing, but I don't remember who I heard it from.
I think I heard it on I want to say I heard it from the Bruce Pritchard or either Cornette talked about it.
I think it was Jim Cornette. Yeah, I think Jim said
Cornette
that
has
Terry
some
expected
YouTube
that.
clips from when he talked about Terry Taylor and when he interviewed Bruce and stuff like that from back in the day.
Wow,
The only thing with that is he
Yeah.
says Jim Cornette will say, "You can't believe Bruce Pritchard even if his tongue was notarized."
Well, Bruce,
every now and then, just by law of averages,
right. Yeah,
he has to say that. Yeah.
People say that Bruce is like a conduit for Vince McMahon. So if he's there in WWE still,
they've worked together for 30 fucking years.
If he's there still, Vince is still somehow in there in the meetings and stuff. If he's still there.
Jim says, well, there's some people that say no, that's not true because I mean you could say that Bruce was a stooge for Vince, but I mean, he had to be that yes man or he was going to lose his job anyway. So, I mean, Vince is one of those billionaires. I think we were talking about this that doesn't like that word no.
Yeah.
And so, you had to kind of be a yes man around him or you would lose your job. So I can kind of see where Bruce comes from. But the reason I got into Jim Cornette was because I was looking up. There was a whole bunch of rumors that people were debunking it. And then I was just like, well, I know I heard it somewhere. Jim Cornette was talking about how when Hogan got that shiner at WrestleMania 9, they blamed it on Randy Savage because he cold-cocked him one for
that's
that was
definitely what happened. There wasn't no damn jet ski. That's what happened.
Yeah, and they talked about that on his show. But
Elizabeth was living with Hogan and is Hogan's wife at
and
the time,
Hogan's
without
wife,
Randy's knowledge.
Without Randy's knowledge, and that's what the rumor was. And then there's people who are trying to debunk it, saying, "Oh, well, I mean, even Beefcake said, it was a jet ski because he almost lost his eye." And Jim Cornette's like, "Come on, Beefcake,
don't believe it.
You can't even believe that guy, even if his tongue was
Beefcake is a stooge for Hogan anyway."
Yeah, he's a stooge for Hogan.
He's his best friend. That's his best friend.
And Hogan got him that job in WCW. He was the acolyte.
What was he, the disciple?
The acolyte.
Not even disciple. I think
I didn't recognize him. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think he went to like
I did not know that was.
Yeah,
he
did.
WWE
or something.
Right,
the disciple something. Yeah.
Oh, the Booty Man. He was the
Booty Man.
Booty Man. That's what it was. He had that gimmick later.
That was the dumbest.
I'm trying to think. I think he went to like 5 different. The Booty Man, the disciple.
Well, they couldn't fire him because he was Hogan's boy.
He was untouchable.
So they had to come up with different gimmicks.
Yeah, right.
What was his name when he was with the Dungeon of Doom?
Oh,
I don't remember.
Yeah, he was in the Dungeon of Doom.
Oh,
was he? I have no idea.
Let me. Oh my God!
The Giant. I remember the Giant.
The Zodiac. Something about Zodiac. Something about the Zodiac.
The Zodiac. I think you're right.
You're right. Yeah, I think it was a Zodiac.
He would be going like with the Dungeon.
I forgot he was in Dungeon and Doom.
You're right.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I started watching WCW at the kind of towards the end of Kevin Sullivan's career, so it's like 96 when he didn't want to be on TV anymore.
Did you see that match where Hogan and Savage beat like 12 dudes in a cage? That triple cage.
Hogan was still babyface.
Yeah. In WCW, it's him and Savage versus like the Dungeon of Doom. He beat all 12 dudes by themselves.
Yeah.
That's why people started getting sick of that shit, man. It wasn't believable anymore.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that
was the Dungeon of Doom angle, which was
right.
Horrible.
In the Dungeon of Doom, I mean, just to tell you how interesting it is, because let's say WCW was like, okay, like in WWE you have these cartoon characters, but in WCW when Hogan came with the Dungeon of Doom, that I think he wrestled every Dungeon of Doom character that was there. I think the Giant was probably the last one.
Yeah, I think that was his last babyface match or big match.
Yeah.
And then he went away to do that movie, and then the NWO thing started, the Outsiders thing, and that's when he's like, I got to get on this gravy train.
Yeah,
I got to get on the beach where they did the
96.
Third Man.
Yeah, 96.
Man, remember all the audience? Just the ring was covered in trash, or everybody throwing
I'll
stuff.
never because
that's such a good visual. Like I know that's not like kosher for an audience to do, but it's such a good visual. For,
and Hogan turned.
Well, and Bischoff said that they wouldn't encourage it, but they didn't stop it either. So
it was perfect for that moment. Is uncouth when Hogan turned, to do with the audience member.
When Hogan turned, I popped for it. It was I was 10 years old by that point.
I started liking Hogan at that point. Yeah, he was NWO for life.
And I think Scott. I heard this from Scott Hall, but there was he called him. Oh, a mark got in the ring. Some fat guy got in the ring and he looked over. He's like, "Is that a mark?" He kicked the shit out of him like 2 or 3 times for real, because he somehow got in the
Them
ring.
WCW referees could whoop some ass back in the day, man.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember. Remember
the
little guy that did the little shooters, like when he would call.
I think that was Randy Anderson or
Randy Anderson.
He would every time he'd like end a match, he'd be like with both hands. That guy.
Randy Anderson. He did this when he
I
would
saw some videos of like guys jumping in the ring and him putting him in like
he put him in like
chokeholds and shit.
Yeah,
like, bro,
whoa.
that
did
little
you see
dude
what those fake stings
man.
did to remember that one fan at Halloween Havoc climbed the cage and was trying to help Roddy Piper, and all these fake stings are just like beating the crap out of him, and Hogan's like, "Give him here, I'll beat the shit out of him." He's like, boom, 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 boom. And Savage is like, "Yeah, I want to join in too." I'm just like,
I miss those days, man.
Oh my God.
Those marks,
especially in the South, bro. You could always get those dudes in the South.
I don't know how Kurt got out of North Carolina when he slammed that cage door.
How half those guys got out of.
I don't know how he got out of that arena alive, because
Cornette,
that was one of the worst things to do. Oh yeah. He had people like girls with little stationery.
Yeah, writing them death threats.
Would say, "I'm going to kill you."
All the rock and roll girly fans would,
Cornette was like, he was a great heel. I mean, heel manager.
He was so good. That dude,
like,
nobody ever gave that man a script. That dude would just rip it off the top for like minutes straight.
Right, and I talked about
as
the Dusty thing with Dusty shut down the whole thing when he talked about the Challenger. When he said Ronnie Garvin went up like the Challenger, and all the lights went out, Cornette was like, what did I do? What happened? Did we not pay the electric bill? And he goes, you can't say that, because Challenger, it just happened.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you can't do that. Just do it over again.
Dude, that's how good he is, man. He could just spit out like a modern, like a reference, like
and it's funny
without even thinking about it, like
off
the rip.
And
that's
I think
funny. I mean, I have a sixth sense of humor. To me, that's.
And then with Cornette, I mean, remember, I mean, he had the racket, you know.
He said he would hit people full blown.
Yeah,
with racket. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he beat a guy almost to death. He was bleeding. He said he beat him real bad but he was trying to get out. He was trying to, he was defending himself.
One time he hit the cop with the racket on accident.
By accident. Yeah. Like, I meant to hit that guy.
Yeah. Like, don't arrest me. I hit him.
You got one of the best storytellers of all.
What I like, and I wish they had done this in Portland and also in AWA and WWE, is I think it was Memphis, where they would the cops would take the guy that was beating up the wrestlers into a room and then let the wrestlers they're waiting with him for 5 minutes, and they'd be like, okay, you got 5 minutes, go ahead. Oh, I did that. He just boom, 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 boom. And then you walk out. Okay, your 5 minutes are up.
Oh, come on, you gotta take him to jail.
You gotta take him to jail. Oh, I love that they would have done that.
The business was wild back in the day, man. It's
that's what I that's what I grew up with, and I loved it. I loved it.
I loved
it's like, oh wow, look at these guys. They're actually crazy, and actually, there's crazy stories. Today is so corporatized and so sanitized. It's like,
everybody's protecting their image.
But what I
afraid
said was,
to say anything.
When those fans would jump the thing, you were fair game for those wrestlers, and those wrestlers. I just saw the one that they Austin talked about on his podcast, where it was Triple H and him at a house show, so it was non-televised.
Yeah,
but they actually have footage of it. Someone took footage of it.
Someone
got in the ring and hated Stone Cold so bad. They loved Triple H, and Triple H was the heel.
And he had to break character.
Who hated Stone
Cold? The crap out of this guy. And Austin said if it wasn't for Triple H, that guy would have kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah, because he was down. He wasn't he couldn't defend himself.
Triple
H broke character long enough to
bam, bam, bam. You see Triple H beating the shit out of this guy.
Yeah, it's like, hurry up, come get this guy. I'm breaking character here.
Triple H
breaking character. He's protecting Austin.
He was protecting Austin. That's right.
That's one of my, I guess, pet peeve with the WWE Network, whatever, whatever's going on when they had these right along thing where you're killing. Like, for me, wrestling is like you got the good guy, the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
I know the internet changed, right? And I know that
down to Georgia, it's that simple,
right?
Yep, the one down in Georgia.
And I'm seeing these two people that just beat up each other, talking in this right along thing. Oh yeah,
I didn't watch that.
I can take that guy.
You know, my thing is this. That's why some people. I think Jake Cornette might have mentioned it, or maybe Stone Cold, that the WWE network, like one of the cons about it is that you got these wrestlers like they hanging out. You know, like hey, we just beat each other up. Like now we're hanging out.
They need content, so it was like, what do we do? They needed content.
I get it.
Like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
they
do
got
this
stuff.
show.
It sucks when they kill kayfabe like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did that in the territories too. Not as often, but there were wrestlers
you
who would
could
hang
back
out in the
then,
bar
though,
together.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't as much.
On Twitter and everybody's, you know,
but
you could get away with it back then.
Yeah, you could get away with it, but I mean, when
unless you're Sheik and Duggan.
Perfect, yeah, Sheik and Duggan is a good example. But there's also a picture of Kurt and Brett. Now, I think this was after Kurt. I mean, I think Kurt was a commentator, but there is a picture out there of Kurt and Brett sitting next to each other in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, I mean, it was okay in those days. They could just say, oh, I'm, you know, doing something or other. They could just make it an excuse. But, I mean, they honestly did all just hang out in the bar together.
Yeah.
If they, wanted to.
Right.
Yeah. That's why Rick Rude jumped ship when the Montreal Screwjob happened, because Rick hung out with all those guys. And he was friends with Brett. I mean, I don't think they were, like, close or anything. But, I mean, they were all friends and they all hung out.
Yeah, I guess back then, when somebody would see that, like 10 or 15 people would find out. And now it's like, if anything like that happens, the whole world finds out.
Yeah, I guess the internet.
So it's harder. It's definitely harder to keep.
Well, the internet would have.
But when you see him not even trying, that's when it kind of sucks.
Like, let's say if kayfabe we never discovered wrestling was fake, because Vince and Ted Turner back in the early '90s were like, yeah, this is all work. You know, we have scripts and stuff. But in order to avoid the taxes from New Jersey, I think it was here, because they were taxing the shit out of it. Yeah.
Really?
So they wanted to avoid
I do remember that.
Tax. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember, because what's the name of the governor at that time?
Christy Whitmer.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they were taxing sports, so they were taxing wrestling, like, because everybody assumed it was real. So it was like,
right.
And then Vince and Ted Turner both like, oh no, this is, they finally confirmed what people suspected, that was fake. Or not fake, but but predetermined. But let's say if that never happened today, because of the internet, we would know. I mean, it's not like it would have came out eventually that wrestling was predetermined. Even
it was easier to like maintain that cognitive dissonance back then, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was easier to avoid those, like when people would tell me about like Beyond the Mat when I was a kid, and the the documentary that Brett did.
Hitman Wrestling.
I went out of my way not to watch that stuff. I didn't want to know.
Oh, see, I did.
I
watched it,
and they kind of got because the Hitman Wrestling in Shadows was there when the whole the Montreal Screwjob happened. That wasn't planned. They were just following Brett around, and they actually had Brett wired.
Yeah, that was just a wild
meetings, but that was like they didn't expect that. They were kind of like, what do we do?
Yeah, they went and talked, and like there was supposed to be a schmoz. Brett thought it was going to be a schmoz,
a disqualification.
Which
I would have hated that finish. We paid like $20 for that pay per view.
But did you like the Montreal Screwjob, which is even worse?
Well, no,
like Sean should have won the belt that night. Brett should have done the right thing, but he was Brett was a mark for himself too back then, man. Like he really believed his own shit.
Bischoff told the story on his podcast. Brett called him like a week before and asked him what he should do. It's like, just do the job. You're coming here to make $3 million a year or whatever. Just do the job. Exactly. I know you hate Sean, but he's a prick. But do the job. I mean, what do you do? Don't make this more difficult than it has to.
But honestly, the way it worked out,
they should have at least given it to someone else. If not Shawn Michaels, give it to Ken Shamrock, or Taker. I mean, because Brett respected Taker more than he did Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels was all up in himself. He was on that, I am greater than everybody because I'm Shawn Michaels kick. No
even
offense.
Taker.
I love Shawn Michaels. That's my guy.
Even
hey, he was on the happy sauce. Okay.
Even when after Taker retired and started doing interviews, he was like, "Damn, I wish I would have suggested to Vince, look, put me in the match." Right. I beat Brett, and then I'll drop it to Sean on next night on Raw. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt my character. So, especially with interference from DX, it's fine. Just
that way, we wouldn't be talking about it today, now would we?
No, I was about to say so.
Like I said, I honestly think in the long run it worked out way better the way it all went down with the screw job and everything, just for history's sake.
And then
cool
WCW.
I mean, Brett was totally completely pissed, and then you had people like Scott Hall coming out and say, "Oh well, Brett was in on it too."
He thought it was a work.
He wasn't.
Scott Hall's the only one I've ever heard really say that oh yeah, it's a work.
He thought it was a work.
No, I don't know anybody else.
No, I didn't think it was.
So he's the only guy that said that.
So Angel, I never saw this live. I never saw that match live. Mm-hmm. Angel, I think you said that you was watching it live.
What, the Shawn Michaels Brett match?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that live.
So because I never saw it live because I at that time.
No, I didn't either. I heard about it when
the finish.
The group came back. That's when we found out about it.
I'll say this real quick because I do have to wrap up soon. But the finish was this. It was Shawn doing the sharpshooter on Brett, and then the referee. Then Vince started to order for the belt.
Yeah, because you didn't have to tap back in the day.
No,
it was for a ref to call a match. So
it was like a year or two after that when they started tapping.
As soon as Shawn put him in Brett's move,
Vince started just doing.
Had him call for the bell.
Well,
that I remember.
While Brett was trying to reverse it.
Yeah. So he wanted to show that he wasn't quitting.
I was confused as hell when I saw it live.
So was I. I was like, what happened?
And just like Cornette said, Shawn was not able to put that move on Brett. It looked really disgusting and it didn't look right. And and then as soon as the bell rang, Brett's like, damn it, I just got screwed.
And Brett told Earl
Shawn
Hebner,
Michaels fucked up the sharpshooter.
So he thought when Shawn put him in that move that he was going to be safe because he talked to Hebner because he suspected things.
Right.
And Hebner fucked him over. Hebner and Cornette were the first two out of that building. That night.
Cornette was gone because he knew he would get the blame, and nobody wanted. He wanted to get his ass kicked. So it was like,
and I do believe that was.
And he was really embarrassed to admit that.
A lot of people take credit for that idea.
Yeah, it was Cornette.
Cornette's idea. 100%.
It was Cornette. Yeah,
and the reason why
he was like, I'm really embarrassed to say this, but
I believe
unfortunately,
Cornette.
I'm like, God damn it, Vince, it's your belt, double crossing. Which is really what should have been called instead of the Montreal double cross, but everyone called it the Montreal screw.
Yeah, like Cornette was reading books about this at this time.
Vince said Brett screwed Brett.
Double crosses in the business over the years.
Yep, that's why it was called the screw job, not double cross.
Jim, it was Cornette. I mean, Triple H tried to take credit for it. Shawn Michaels, Russo definitely had to take credit for it. Like, it's bullshit. He's such a liar.
Of course, shit stain would say that because he's a shit stain.
And he tells the same, like I think it was the Dark Side of the Ring where Cornette tells his version and Vince Russo tells his version. He's the exact same story as Cornette. Instead, he puts himself in there like it was him.
Exactly, and
it's a lie because
the truth. Yeah, Cornette has no reason to lie.
Cornette was embarrassed by what he was his idea. It was like, fuck it, Vince, screw him. It's your belt, double cross his ass. It's like, what? Then he gives a history lesson about how this has happened before to Vince. And then Vince is like, he like, and Jim, after he saw the sharpshooter, he's like, I can't believe he's doing it. And then he saw Vince doing this.
But
holy
shit.
He's like, holy shit, he's doing my idea.
He's doing my idea.
Yeah, he's doing my idea. Oh, shit. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I got to get the fuck out of here.
He beat Hebner out of the building.
Yeah, him and Hebner were the first two out the building.
And then it's funny because I learned that from, I tell people, like, I was raised by the internet because I've been in the internet since 1992. So when I learned about that, was the next thing there was this website called WrestleManiacs or something to that effect. I think, and they were talking about it, and I'm like,
you might have talked to Tony Khan back in the day, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
because he was on the
maybe I didn't
know.
But I do remember for like the next 2-3 years, the question was it a shoot or was what was the other?
I don't think it was a shoot.
Yeah, me either.
Brett wouldn't have reacted that way. Yeah. He just would have went, oh, okay, and acted like he already knew. Yeah. It's kind of like the Brooklyn Brawler had smartened up the Warrior that Brawler was going to beat him. And what did they do? Well, they ended up, he smartened him up. So then the Warrior, reacted correctly. And Warrior wanted to thank Brooklyn Brawler for that, but he's like, no, I still work for Vince. Don't say anything.
Mhm.
But yeah, he wanted to. He smartened up the Warrior that the Warrior was going to lose, and they expected Jim to, I can't believe you made me lose to a jobber, that kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, you can't say it was a shoot because the whole wrestling Hitman with Shadows then wouldn't make sense. Why would Julie get pissed off at Hunter? Because Hunter knew exactly what was going on, though he was telling Julie, "No, I don't know anything. I don't know anything."
Hunter definitely was in on it, even though it wasn't his idea. Him, Sean, Vince, they were all in on it. Jerry Briscoe definitely, because he's the one that approached Earl Hebner. Was like, when Brett gets in the sharpshooter, you need to ring the bell. Will you do it? Because
Briscoe
Vince, Bret Hart's not giving you money.
Hotel room and taught him shoot wrestling moves in case Brett tried to whip his ass.
Which Brett would have killed him because
Jerry Briscoe literally the night before the match.
He taught him some, to defend himself a little bit.
Moves.
Just go like that.
Brett had to put. What's worse is Brett had to put himself in that sharpshooter. Like he put himself in
because Sean screwed it up.
And I think the only reason he did it
and that's what Cornette said.
I think that's the only reason.
Right, because
the only reason why he put himself in it because he trusted Earl, which was a mistake.
Trusted Earl. Yep.
Was a mistake because he said before that he's like, Earl wouldn't screw me.
Yeah.
And then
Earl works for Vince McMahon, not Bret Hart.
Ultimately,
yeah. He knows where his bread is buttered. That's right.
And Earl still feels guilty about it to this day.
He does.
Go to his grave. He said he will go to his grave regretting that one action.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure Brett would have got him a job in WCW. I mean,
you would hope.
You would hope. I mean,
no doubt.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he didn't do it, yeah.
But they never go to WCW?
No.
Not
Earl Hebner.
No, Earl Hebner still. I think did he retire?
I
think he passed away.
So who's the
referee?
Around, wait, so who's the referee that was selling items?
It was Earl Hebner. It was the Hebners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they got fired.
That's
why they got fired because they were selling WWE merch without permission in their stores,
right.
And WWE found out about it and fired both of them.
Yeah.
And Earl ended up in TNA for a while, and then he refed some AEW matches too when they first started.
Did he really?
And then I think so. I think Earl did ref some AEW matches early on.
Wow. I didn't start watching AEW till Punk showed up.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people did. Once Punk showed up, a lot of the audience popped in.
Kind of proves that he really was a draw because he got me.
Yeah, and I'll say this because my love for Angel is more than my hatred for AEW, but I will watch AEW for that man.
Oh, thank you. I try to watch it.
You can usually find one segment on Dynamite that's worth watching.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Usually involving
I know. Everything I've heard from Jim Cornette is just like this is the shit.
Don't you want to watch it just to see how he's going to react to it?
Well, no, I just wait till he reacts to it.
He waits until he reacts to it. That's what I did.
Yeah, I wait till their show comes out and then he's
like Cassidy Texas Deathmatch.
Oh, that was terrible.
Brian Last hates Orange Cassidy.
Pocket sucks. Nobody likes Pocket.
I can't believe they booked that match.
Yeah, the little puppy pockets.
I can't believe they booked that match in the main event.
Starting a feud with a Texas death match.
That makes no sense. You end the feud.
That's what you do at the end. That's what you do at the end.
A Texas match in New Jersey, right? I mean, that's AEW in a nutshell.
Yeah.
No, and that's what Jim said. You don't do. It's like someone up north or who doesn't have anything to do with coal mines would do a coal miners on a pole match.
Yeah.
Why would you do that if you have nothing to do with the coal or the coal mines?
Neither of those skinny fuckers.
Down south.
Neither of those skinny fuckers are from Texas, and they're not credible to do a Texas death match.
Right.
To start a feud.
That's like Dusty. That's like Dusty Rhodes and Bruiser Brody or something.
Well, no. Here's what they did, and they did it so well in Portland. When the Sheik, there was a guy called Sheik.
Yeah, the original Sheik
in Portland, and him and Kurt Hennig had a Iranian death match, but that was because they literally were wrapping up their feud.
Yeah.
So they had an Iranian death match.
And
I didn't
Iran
even
was
know what
like
that
her
was
biggest
until I saw
enemy
it.
at the time.
Yeah, it was.
Well, and this dude, the guy who played the Sheik, he was whiter than I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It really wasn't
This
from
is the
Iran.
early. This is the
Yeah, was
early
it-
'80s, and it's right after
This is
the hostages
this is
in Iran.
Portland.
Yeah.
Right. This is Portland wrestling, and I mean the territories, of course, would also take part in whatever kind of it was 83. So in 83, if there was something going on with Iran, he wasn't the Iron Sheik. He just was called the Sheik.
Was
but
that
he-
was
he-
that was that yeah? Was that the
Isn't it,
guy that
Sabu's
trained
uncle?
Sabu? Was
Yeah.
that the original
Yeah, I think
Sheik?
that's yeah. I think
think
Sabu.
so.
I think it's
Was that the
uncle
original
or
Sheik?
Yeah, because it's in Michigan.
His
or
uncle.
something,
It's
that
his
he was
uncle.
in Michigan.
Yeah.
I do remember something
Yeah.
about the
He was-
original Sheik.
The original Sheik was his uncle, Sabu's uncle, and trained him.
Yeah,
yeah,
wrestled
that
in
was the
Detroit.
Iron Sheik.
We're
Yeah.
talking about the Iron Sheik, which is different.
Yeah, the Iron Sheik,
All
not
right.
the Sheik.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
This-
there's two different things. There's the Iron
This was a
Sheik,
different guy.
and then there's the
Yeah.
Sheik.
And there were several Sheiks. There was
Iron
and
Sheik, he's
also
the one, that got caught with Duggan.
Adnan Casey was who would become the Casey in 91 in WWE was actually Adnan Casey something else. It was General Adnan in WWE, but
Yeah.
in
well,
AWA
that's
he was
when
called
was
Adnan
Sergeant
Casey.
Slaughter. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But he was Adnan
This-
Casey in AWA.
Yeah.
Still a heel, but I mean they had different names for him, and this guy, he didn't last long in the territory. There's just a couple of matches with him and Kurt,
Yeah.
and they were just kind of like by the standard. But they had that Iranian death match, which it was an awesome match because Kurt Hennig was in it. But I mean, they had that just because it was a flyby. The Sheik was the champion, so Kurt wanted to be champion. How do you do that? You beat the Iron Sheik.
Yeah. So.
Or not the Iron Sheik, the Sheik.
Yeah.
He was just
Sorry, are you from Portland, Steph? Are you from around that area?
No, I'm actually born and raised in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
I have a playlist of Kurt Hennig when he was in Portland.
Okay.
So I've seen his,
you know
his
your
matches.
Portland territory very well.
Yeah.
I was wondering if
because I've seen Kurt in 82, 83 and part of 84. He was in and Portland loved their 2 out of 3 falls, which is really crazy because every time you see Kurt, he's in a 2 out of 3 fall.
Really?
It's either with his dad, he's with Billy Jack, or when Buddy Rose went babyface, it was Buddy Rose, Billy Jack, and Kurt Hennig all on the same side against the Clan. They were known as the Army in 82, and then Rip Oliver kind of makes them the Clan and brings in Dynamite. That's when Dynamite was also in Portland around the same time that Kurt Hennig was. That's why Dynamite and Kurt.
Was Piper around at that time too?
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah,
there,
and they would have
good in Portland, man.
in April. They would also have in Portland. They would have Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Well,
because they would
Portland was
that.
a hot territory in the early 80s, man.
Yeah, I
hear a lot of stories from Portland.
Don Owen, and Billy Jack Haynes was a
Portland he's been in the news recently.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of like I can't. This has to be like a dementia thing because dementia is a cruel beast. So I think something happened with the dementia side of it. I think this was sort of an oops, like they were struggling for the thing, and it went off and oops.
All right,
that's a sad story.
I do have to wrap up. So, any final thoughts?
And I will do. I just want to say one more thing, Angel.
Go ahead.
I am going to do more Portland matches because, again, I found it on YouTube. If you just look up Portland wrestling, I have all the Kurt Hennig matches that I could find, and like I said, they are mostly when he comes into 82, it's him and his dad, and then his dad kind of leaves, and then it's him with Billy Jack, and then he's also doing like singles matches with like Buddy Rose and stuff when it was him and Buddy Rose were at odds, and they had a great feud. They had a knee versus knee match. That's a hard one to watch, especially if you're a Kurt Hennig fan. You're like, oh,
Steph, you really live the Kurt Hennig gimmick. You could be
she loves him, but
you live
I
that
love
gimmick,
him.
man.
That's right.
Trust
my
me.
final thought.
You have to be on my show. I'm having like a big get together. I would like Angel to come on too. I would love you to come on, Greg.
Hell yeah, I had a ton of fun doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we should do this again.
Angel, I had a great time.
I'm going to have a special birthday batch. Kurt's birthday is March 28th, so I would love to have everybody back on my show along with Kit. So we could all just say like a big happy birthday to Kurt on
That'll
March.
be fun.
I just want to say this: some of my people that are following me, they reach out to me. They want me to do kind of like next time I'm here, kind of like top 10 wrestling's 10. Like we could discuss top 10 wrestlers because there are a lot of people like, yo, can you talk about Undertaker and Edge and all this? So I just want to throw it out.
Baby. Nobody beats Mr. Perfect.
Do a top. We got to do this again though because we have to wrap up today. I want to thank everybody for coming, watching.
Because I love.
I thank Greg and Dee for coming on. Too Sweet for Life.
You guys are awesome. I love you.
Steph, it was great meeting y'all.
Yeah, great meeting you too. We got to have you back on soon, but next week.
And I would love to have you on my channel and like I said, the big birthday bash with Kit and Angel. I would love you to come back on. Greg,
we all follow
each other. More than welcome.
Yeah, we all follow each other.
That, we're just gonna say happy birthday to Kurt the best way.
And I'll have a Stone Cold.
All right.
And I'll have an RVD. I can't show that on camera.
All right, my people. Take care.
Until next time, I'll see you guys next week and have a nice weekend. Episode 3 next week, same time, same place.